Welcome back, everybody. It's another night of VCS action here on VCS English. My name is 𝘀𝗶𝗃, and tonight I have the honor of giving you two of the smartest men I know, Rebel Fox, and joined by our special guest, Jensen. Rebel, you all know by this point, but Jensen is a little bit of a newcomer, or at least for this split. If you want to introduce yourself, Jensen.
Hey guys, I'm Jensen. I coached in the VCS all the way back in 2018 when EVOS was still a team in the VCS. And since then, I've moved on to different regions all over the world. So I consider this a little bit of a homecoming tour, going back and watching how things are in Vietnam. My boy Stark, he used to be my top laner on Team EVOS. He's coaching right now. So I'm here to see how he's going to be doing. Maybe throw a little bit of flame his way. But I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you, as we do have a very interesting matchup today. A bit of a bottom-of-the-table clash, but it is an important one. Not so much for standings. I don't think either of these teams are realistically looking at playoffs, but it is an interesting one for pride. Rebel, what are your first general impressions on Team Flash versus Team Secret?
I've been kind of under the impression that Team Flash, most of the split, especially with all the young players, have been attempting to grow for the next split. And that's not really changing as the split goes on. The more interesting aspect, of course, is the new players that they added, but we'll save that for a little bit later on the desk. And then Team Secret, this is really weird because a lot of us had them a little bit higher than what they were right now, just because, I mean, when you look at some of the talent on this team between the likes of, Eddie has been playing pretty well, 𝗀𝗃 has been playing pretty well, 𝘁𝗀𝗄 was supposed to make some sort of step up in the top lane. And then even like 𝘁𝗃𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀 out of the mid lane was like not supposed to be the worst player of all time. Yet the entire roster just seemed to collapse after that first week and just has not been able to find a stride. The hope, of course, is their new player will assist them in some compartment just to try to compete, at least with some of the teams around them, maybe to make some growth into 6th, 5th place, something along those lines, before really trying to make a place for playoffs.
It makes a lot of sense. Jensen, you obviously are not a regular member of broadcast. I'm not sure how much you've watched of this split. But I want to ask you something about Team Secret because you are familiar with the veterans of the league. They have some of those newer players. Have you spotted any players on that Team Secret roster that really interest you?
I'm gonna be honest here. The Team Secret roster is something that I would look at even back in the heyday when these guys used to be a staple and when these guys used to be a bigger mainstay of the league. They always were the middle, very averaging type of players, right? You wouldn't look at this guy and say, hey, this is the reason why this team is gonna be winning the game. So when I look at a Team Secret roster right now, I'm just seeing a lot of very middling average talent, and this has to be a sum of the parts type of team, right? If you look at the teams that 𝘁𝗃𝗃 has been good on, 𝗀𝗃 has been good on, is when they have been able to come together, play a very coherent strategy, and integrate very well through a very clear stylistic identity. So if you're telling me that they're not doing very well now, it probably sounds like there's some conflict within the team in terms of they're not too sure. Do we play more as a Drake stacking team? Do we play more to play to pick on multiple lanes instead, right?
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense. Rebel, you've identified a couple of players that for Team Flash that you think really need to step up. You've got Dante and 𝘁𝗀𝗃, and also they are apparently playing their new mid laner Marcus, who we don't really know very much about. But do you want to talk about this Team Flash trio?
Sure. So first off, I think Dante and 𝘁𝗀𝗃, personally, I think that 𝘁𝗃's had the worst split of the 3 rookies between them. And not that Dante and 𝘁𝗀𝗃 have had a particularly incredible split, but that if we're talking about, who is going to be maintained for the roster for spring, I think there is at least a world in which Dante and 𝘁𝗀𝗃 could make an argument for that. And my favorite part about specifically this Dante keep and the substitution of Marcus in the mid lane, I know I tracked as much as I could in terms of the VCSB. Sometimes it's very difficult. One of the teams that actually went undefeated during group stage was Saigon's B team. It was Young Buffalo. Marcus was actually the top laner on that team alongside Dante in the jungle. The two of them have played together for an entire split and were kind of dominating everyone before they fell out of absolutely nowhere to a random team that had Simon and mid laner who also had played previously inside of the league out of what seemed like nowhere. So I think that's part of the reason that they're bringing Marcus into this situation is that 𝘁𝗃 has really not been showing up very consistently across the split. And now they get somebody who potentially, I mean, we've talked about Hero in the mid lane being able to, use some of that top lane pull to his advantage. If Marcus can pull some of that same kind of style that Hero's been bringing, now also has much better synergy with Dante to try to have a better strategy as a full team because of his experience with them. So I'm excited to see what Marcus actually brings to this Flash squad now.
Yeah, I think we all are. Look, it can't get much worse for Flash. What's the worst that can happen? You lose again? It's kind of the way it's going. So, hopefully Marcus can get them across the line. I think we all would like to see Flash get their first win. Speaking of winners, let's all put our money where our mouth is. And if production can bring up our predictions, I think we are all going a pretty similar way, though I don't think we all have the same score. While that's on screen, I don't think... Oh, you've actually got Team Flash there, Jensen. So you think Flash has a path to victory? We'll definitely want to get your thoughts on that. But something I want to get your thoughts as a bit of an expert or a coach on is, how do you think this new patch affects these teams?
There's quite a few big changes that's happening in the new patch, right? So the big question I think a lot of teams are trying to figure out in this preseason is, how strong are the new souls, especially the Hextech soul. I think that's the one that's a little bit more people are trying to suss out at this point of time, because in the past, the weakness of playing a Drake stacking strategy is that you want to be able to force a game-winning soul at about 22 minutes into the game, and the chances of you spawning a bad soul is that being the Cloud Drake was 25%, and then now that you've added 2 additional Drakes, that goes down to 1 in 6, or has it gone up to 1 in 3? Sorry.
Yeah. It's even better on this patch because of the 50% increase.
Yeah, so it could be that it has gotten better, or maybe it's gotten worse, because if people are saying that, hey, the Hextech Drake, that soul is not actually a game-winning soul, then maybe it actually has weakened the strategy overall from 1 in 4 chance to getting a bad soul to being 1 in 3 instead. Then on top of that, there's all the changes to the map as well, and all the changes to the items. We have to see how things are. There's been lots of theory crafting that's going around. I think the VCS is a region that we're going to see the new crown item being played, not just at the mid lane, but for the junglers as well. Being played in the mid lane or the mages and stuff like that, that's things that the Western teams do. They play the Orianna, they sit there and farm for 30 minutes. This lets me be safe, right? The way the VCS teams are playing it, I want to see them pick Lilia, play Elise, and buy this champion and say that this lets me be aggressive, and that's the VCS style that I know and love.
Well, I'm sure you've just endeared yourself to our producer with that suggestion to pick Elise, but I do agree with it. I think I certainly agree. I don't want to see the VCS falling into the, just pick Victor Orianna and scale with Crown. It's a strong strategy, but it's not a VCS strategy. Rebel, how do you think these two teams are going to adapt to the preseason?
What I want to see is, this is kind of the time for experimentation when it comes to team composition, both outside, like inside of some of like the items that have been added, but also just in terms of champion strength. We talked about 𝘀cie a little bit before the broadcast, and there's plenty of champions that have risen in priority. I've heard great things about Ivern. I've heard great things about a number of champions. My question is, with people like, I know Froggy's in the league, but I'm talking the 2 teams that are in front of us here and the 2 teams that we'll see a little bit later. How deep are the champion pools, and what do you have in your back pocket that's kind of that comfort pick that might be something useful here inside of the preseason? I don't want to see these teams continue going to like super safe picks and trying to design team compositions because they haven't experimented too much with the new season patch. If they've got a champion in their back pocket and they can build around it, I really would like to see that to the best extent, because if you've got something like that in your wheelhouse, that wild card might be enough to get you a nice little sucker punch inside of a series and take a win. And especially for Flash to get some momentum, or for TS to get some momentum back in their favor, that's going to be a pretty big thing, especially because it also adds to your draft capital a little bit later on. If out of absolutely nowhere, DNK goes from Zed jungle to Ivern jungle in the blink of an eye, and teams have to start looking at Ivern as a potential ban, things get a little bit crazy, and Team Secret gets a lot more from that.
So one of the reasons why, sorry, don't mind me cutting in here. So one of the reasons why I was hyped for Team Flash coming into this is that I know my boy Stark, right? And he's a coach now. But one of Stark's strengths has always been his game conceptualization. And when we talk about playing on a new patch, his ability to theory craft, come up with new ideas, this is something that we worked on a lot in 2018. And if people remember back in 2018, that's when the Insanity was having, where we were having all this Insanity. We had effectively a preseason patch hit us in the middle of that season when we went to the summer split, where we had had to play Fano, right? All of a sudden, Xayah jungle and Rakan mid lane was a thing, and then we had to figure out how these style things were coming together. And Stark was a very big part of solving the meta and coming up with, hey, this is the strategy that we want to play. Now, I think that that's a very transferable skill set for that now that he's in the coaching position. And I think that this is where Team Flash might not only be able to turn things around with the new mid laner, Marcus. And speaking of Marcus Aurelius, that's a Roman emperor. And one of his quotes is pertaining to new patches: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's hashtag quote of the day. Let's go.
Very, very deep philosophy there. We'll have to see if they do live up to the great thinkers of our of ancient Rome as we head into draft. And immediately the picks coming in thick and fast. B1 Graves, I just heard 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀 all the way from Australia. But it's answered with this 𝘀𝗰𝗋, a pick that is incredibly strong on the new patch, loving the new lethal tempo changes, and the Twisted Fate. I mean, okay, now we're just getting the Arcane bot lane. Rebel, what do you think so far?
I'm loving the 𝘀𝗰𝗋, like, be able to take, because again, lethal tempo makes that champion just absurd in terms of everything. And then the control you got with Twisted Fate, the
𝘀𝗀𝗋, by the way.
lane, whatever it might be. Yeah, it is 𝘀𝗀𝗋, just as fast as possible, making sure that ex-jungler for the 𝘀𝗶𝗵 squad is going to be in just to throw some veterancy in here. Yeah, the Rise pick actually kind of stands out to me. The Seraphs got kind of hard nerfed, and it feels more like a Rod of Ages now, but without the heavy scaling to late game. I feel like Rise actually took a fair amount. You can build Crown on him, but for the most part, like, his damage will come later in the game pretty much no matter what. But you do prefer really heavily being able to have that Seraphs into something powerful rather than the likes of the 𝘀𝗵𝗀𝗀. So it's I don't know, maybe that makes him feel a little bit worse, but Marcus obviously needs comfort here if they're going to take him in the mid lane, and this is a champion that was at least at the top for a short meta, so maybe he's accustomed to it.
Well, I mean, I want to walk back a little bit of it. I was praising Stark for all this, the game conceptualization, the ability to do the hit of the drop. I'm not sure what you're thinking over here. You're thinking Caitlyn and Rise in the scenario where you're going to be up against a 𝘀𝗰𝗋 and a Twisted Fate. Caitlyn's advantage is that she can play against range, and that used to be the case when the meta AD carries with the likes of like Vayne, like Lucian, and these type of things, where you hit a part of the game and then you start to outrage them and then you skill, right? But against 𝘀𝗰𝗋, she just matches your range and then she just outskills you throughout the entire course of the game. And one of the champions that Caitlyn hates playing against the most is actually Twisted Fate, because Caitlyn is a champion that really wants to play really aggressively in the lane. And 6 minutes in the game, Twisted Fate hits level 6, and your ability to do that gets cut off by a lot as well. So I'm not too sure what Team Flash has in store for us, but I'm not too happy with the first half. We have to see what they do in the second half to see if they can salvage this scenario.
Yeah, I know that the Caitlyn did have a lot of success yesterday, but it was into those shorter range ADCs that she could really punish. So I completely agree with your analysis. As the Jax being locked in now, another pre-season hotness. Rebel, what do you think of these drafts, and how do you think Secret should round it out?
Well, you know what they could round it out with? They don't have a Galio, but they do have a second roaming champion in the mid lane with the Twisted Fate. We could actually roll back the old school Team Secret Nocturne alongside the Camille and the Twisted Fate to mean some very meaningful side lane, especially with that Axiom arc. It actually does quite a bit of very significant work, especially now that there's Nami. I mean, Jensen just talked about it a second ago. If the Nami Caitlyn really wants to play aggressively, that level 6 mark hits, all of a sudden Nocturne's in your face, Twisted Fate is in your face. You can't really set up the siege you really want to. Okay, it's interesting that 𝘂𝗓 and Marcus are kind of swapping champions, but it makes sense. Maybe Marcus is going to take the Jax into the top lane, something along those lines.
Marcus is a top laner by trade. He's playing mid, and he's listed as a mid laner by Flash, but he has been a top laner his career. So 𝘂𝗓 potentially flexing that to the mid lane, or they're trying to run the Jax mid counter pick into the Twisted Fate, I guess, dodge the card. Jensen, what do you think about how these drafts have shaped out? I know you're not too happy with Flash, but what do you think of Secret?
When it comes to Team Secret, I trust in their ability to execute on the Camille, Nocturne, and Galio. I mean, Twisted Fate in this scenario, right? So this is something that lots of globals, I think that's ease of execution. I would say the tipping point would come down to how things interact in the top lane, because Camille versus Jax is a very skill expressive matchup, and if Team Flash is going to come out ahead, it's going to come up to them to blow something up, make something happen on the top side of the map. And as strange as it sounds, this is going to be weak side Caitlyn Nami, right? The position you do want to be in, but if they know this is what the crux of the game is, that's how they're going to have to be playing.
Rebel, I mean, weak side Caitlyn Nami doesn't sound like something the VCS is going to play well, even if they do need to. I mean, I think we can assume that it is just going to be a lane swap from Yoshino and Marcus. What do you think about Dante going to this Graves?
I think playing for pure, just like kind of damage scaling alongside a Caitlyn kind of goes against what you want for the Caitlyn, just because you always want to put pressure on towers in the earlier stage of the game with your rage and your wave clear. So I don't have a bunch of faith that the Graves is going to accomplish much. I know you always probably throwing his hands in the air in joy right now for that analysis.
I'm sure he is. And I would like to thank both of my analysts, Rebel and Jensen. We will be getting more of their thoughts after this first game. But I have to welcome another wonderful person, as 𝘀cie is going to be joining me on the casting desk and the Rift. 𝘀cie, it's a spicy first draft. Some new players on the Rift. How are your thoughts?
I'm actually very excited to see Yoshino finally playing mid lane, because he has been the star player of Team Flash, and now he's also in the role where he might have the most game impact overall. So I'm all up for that, and I'm really looking forward to see what Marcus can do, because this is his first game of this winter split, and yeah, Team Flash hasn't been looking too hot so far. So maybe a fresh change, a fresh of breath air is all they need to accomplish the first victory. And yeah, with this draft, it might be possible. It is a very volatile draft, though. I tell you that much.
I mean, I think I agree, but I always kind of stand with the philosophy that the worse a team you are, the more volatility you actually want. Because why not, right? You may as well play volatile and hope you roll well if you don't think you're going to win in the straight-up matchup anyway. But, of course, Team Flash up against Team Secret, it's not like there's a canyon between them. 𝘁𝗀cie and 𝘀𝗏𝗏 do have this early push. Where are your eyes drawn on the Team Secret comp? How do you want them to play around this as Eddie gets destroyed?
That's the thing, right? Eddie should not get destroyed this much in this lane. He's on Jinx fresh. Jinx is kind of got here on this patch, I would say. She doesn't lose the lane too hard. And against Caitlyn Nami, of course, it's very hard, especially in the first few levels. It is absolutely expected that the Caitlyn and Nami get the first push there. But overall, I want 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀 and later also 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀 to stabilize this matchup a little bit. And maybe abuse that Caitlyn and Nami are very gankable. But so far, they are struggling with the invade coming out from Yoshino and Dante. Wise, of course, also very easy on the push and can manage to threaten the TF there and got the first roam off there.
Yeah, not much that the Nocturne can do about the Graves coming in and muscling him off the chickens there. So it's a good read by Dante, knew that he was in a position to do so, and steals away a camp. But this Nocturne, ooh, 𝘁𝗏𝗏𝗏, you have gone very low down here. This bot lane is a real brawl.
For sure, and 𝘁𝗏𝗏𝗏 also used both summoners and also one summoner down inside of 𝘁𝗀𝗏, so I assume that 𝘁𝗏 must have hit a hook there.
Coming in, can he land this Q? They're already pretty far back, 𝘁𝗀𝗏. Oh, he flashes forward onto 𝘁𝗏𝗏𝗏, that's going to be the first blood there for the Nocturne. Can they make it too? Of course they can!
Absolute disaster for Team Flash. I think there is a chance that 𝘁𝗏𝗏 just tanked the hook and somehow 𝘁𝗏𝗏𝗏 manages to get out alive there, so it's not a 2-for-0 but only a 1-for-0, and that's already pretty bad because the Caitlyn Nami lane has to win on the side of Team Flash. Otherwise, the game has been going pretty well for them. I mean, the Jax has done fine into Camille at the first few levels, and it's also outscaling that pick, so that was looking fine for them. The jungle invade onto the chickens was done very well, but 𝘁𝗏𝗏𝗏 and 𝘁𝗏𝗏𝗏, for whatever reason, have lost so many summoners and were a very easy target for DNK there, and DNK managed to have no mercy on him.
Nagia is getting dove. There is a TP coming in, but it's far too late. 𝘁𝗏𝗏𝗏 arrives. They could go for a redive, but they're not going to pull the trigger on that. It's a very, very clean move to top lane by Flash.
Definitely, and a surprising one that Team Flash is able to pull off such a clean dive. I think they could not go for a redive onto 𝘁𝗏𝗏𝗏 because he still has his gold card and the counter strike was down on the side of Marcus and his Jack. So the dive would have been a very huge risk. Of course, in the VCS, I wouldn't be too surprised if that indeed would have happened there. But smart of Team Flash to just go for one kill.
They're setting up to just redive. 𝘀cie still no flash. He didn't bring it. It's just the ignite. Might just be a crud steal though.
Ignite wouldn't help you much in the gank there, but here we see the gank again from DNK just flashed, but he gets into the 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀 onto Nami, and Palette cannot do anything there. I mean, he already was flashless, and even if he had flash, he couldn't create as much distance to even get out of the tether range of the 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀, so he would have died anyway. And I think it was just well played beforehand by the support of Team Secret, who's also having his first game. 𝘀𝗶𝗏 on the Thresh must have landed a good flay or hook combination there, so the summoners were down in the first place. So kudos to him, of course. And he was in the next game.
Moving in, activated the Predator to get the stun onto Yoshino. DNK riding the shadows, but Dante is here to make it a 2v2. Yoshino gets feared up. He'll get taken down momentarily, but now they've got to deal with the Graves. DNK gets a huge heal from the passive. And Team Secret's Nocturne is 4-0.
Yoshino tries to cut it as best as he can, but he just dies there because he doesn't really have to damage it.
Whoa, hang on. Where is Palette?
What
is he doing? What is he doing? He's currently under the enemy in a tower. He's about to execute.
He is indeed getting it. I think he must have roamed to help this 2v2 and negative 3v2 because it was looking pretty doomed on the side of Team Flash. Here, we see it in the replay again. Yoshino, he kites as good as he can, but he doesn't really have to damage it. He's a Wise, he has a Tear, he has a Mana Crystal, and I think one Amtom that he might have just bought as he entered the base, not on his own will, but on the enemy's will. And yeah, here we see Palette. He gets chased off, and then at least he gets the execute, but they were like look really off sync there. I don't really think even if he manages to be there in time that they can turn it around, because it was very one-sided in this 2v2 skirmish with the smite, especially from DNK. We gained so much HP that it was not really enough damage on the side of Team Flash to even win this fight, to burst anyone down there. So Palette there also gives another execute, wastes a lot of time for his bot laner, who's also not winning his lane on his own right now, especially with the game coming out of DNK earlier. And DNK 4-0 right now in the 7th minute is having a great game so far.
Yeah, he really is. And this is, been the story of Team Secret. It's been a little bit of DNK and 4 wards when he's been playing this Qiyana, the Talon, not so much the Zed. That time he definitely joined the cast of wards. But this is what Team Secret want. This Nocturne does need to get off to a good start. He will be moving, I assume, into that Axiom edge, trying to get lots of ultimates off. Dante does get a Krug steal, though, so he's, keeping his head up in the matchup, but it is definitely a gap as the ultimates are pulled out. The fear doesn't land. 𝘁𝗏's got the Predator, and 𝘀cie coming in from the other side. It's a death sentence for Dante.
And I like that Dante went for the weapon invade because DNK was indeed resetting. But the Crux might have been just one camp too much here because he's getting collapsed from all sides. There's paranoia on the enemy team. There's Destiny Gate in the enemy team. This is just... Even 𝘀cie could follow up there with his mobility on the Camille.
You can't be there. You can't be there when you know the Nocturne's that close. He has the Realm Warp. Will the fear go off in time? Ooh. It doesn't matter because 𝘁𝗏 gets the kill. But on the top side, I heard you react to it. Marcus did pick up a solo kill onto 𝘀cie.
For sure, that's pretty early for the Jax Camille matchup. In the first 3 levels, the Camille should be favored there, especially if the Ignite and combat sets, she should be ahead, but right now she just isn't. And yeah, Team Flash on the other hand, they're just getting picked off like chickens there. It's really unfortunate that they keep dying to the Twisted Fate and the Nocturne. And meanwhile, there's a 2v2 off-screen in the bot lane where the Caitlyn is losing to the Jinx and Thresh lane. And Jinx and Thresh are not going to be going easy on you come mid-game, where Caitlyn falls in a little bit of a lull, while Jinx just keeps getting stronger and stronger and can peel for herself. Even with the Thresh on top of her, it will be very easy to play the team fights.
Yeah, 𝘀cie did about all he could there. I think he just didn't have the hook shot off cooldown at the start when the Counter-Strike moved forward. And yeah, Marcus just kind of knew how this interacted. Now, they haven't actually switched the scoreboard around, which is very annoying, 𝘀cie, but we can do it in our minds. That's a 20 CS lead for a Jax.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a worrying trend there for 𝘀cie, of course. And this is like maybe the one win con that Team Flash indeed has left. I mean, the bot lane is falling apart for them. Mid jungle also not looking too hot, especially with Nocturne being so far ahead. And speaking of him,
yeah, there it is. Once again, that paranoia comes out, and it's a justified feeling, as there's definitely a shadow crawling down your neck as DNK gets bigger and bigger. This kill will be given over to 𝘀cie, and Team Flash's light is going out.
It surely is, and this is the ideal response from Team Secret, that even 𝘀cie gets the kill onto Marcus there. I mean, that was like the one struggling lane, the one win con Team Flash still had and left in the tank, and maybe still have, but like this, even that matchup gets stabilized a bit more in Team Flash. Has one thing less to worry about here. Here we see the bot lane 2v2 again. We
Ooh.
didn't see off screen. And
Very
J.ix is
well
just so strong right now. And yeah, it was also just well played by them. I mean, he first gets bubbled by the Nami, but still manages to play it on the side of 𝘀𝗏. I mean, Thresh is just better in all ins than Nami is. Nami is more favored in the extended trades, and this is just not what's happening here. So this one easily goes to the side of Eddie and 𝘀𝗏. Team 𝘀liche, though, they haven't given themselves up. They go for the Rift Herald here, and it's the first Rift Herald, so it will be very influential considering the gold it will give them. Saying that, they are 3k down, so maybe it will...
There's another fight in the bot lane. I hate to cut you off as Twisted Fate is going to join the party. Throw out that gold card as he will pick up the kill onto the Caitlyn. And this is, well, it's definitely a weak side bot lane, but I don't think it's in the way that Jensen wanted.
Yeah, I think it's more just a weak bot lane, if you are completely rough and honest there. I mean, they just now were very close to getting the 2v2 there, but there's still a stopwatch on the side of Team Secret, and they play very well with the Twisted Fate at the Destiny Gate, I would say. I mean, 𝘀𝗏 usually also having more of a rough season so far, I would say. I mean, he looked okay in 1 or 2 games, and then it didn't matter for the team. This game, he's deathless. He's always on the map. He manages to do something, and he is completely winless so far, if I remember correctly as well. So this might be his first win.
And they're moving in to the bot lane. 𝘀𝗏 does get fried. DNK actually dies. That's a lot of gold randomly given over to the other support. Not a very well executed dive there.
Not, but he gives the shutdown over to the support. It's actually so smart by him. I mean,
yeah, it's
jokes
kind
aside.
of big brain.
Yeah, it actually kind of makes sense. I mean, he probably didn't want to die there, let's be honest, but I mean, he makes the best out of a bad situation. We could definitely see. I mean, Caitlyn, 𝘁 is 0-4 again, on a pick that should be ahead, that just isn't ahead, and he just now, on the side of DNK, he finishes Axiom Arc, so let's wait and see how well this item plays out. I didn't expect him to really rush it as a first item, but I mean, if you go in with the Paranoia, you expect to get at least 1 takedown anyway, so you might as well just rush this item, and despite having not the best combat sets, maybe with the Ghost Blade or with the Gallrinker or with the Dust Blade, you would have more, but Axiom Arc first is so influential, especially if you can play with a Twisted Fate, get a takedown guaranteed. You have so much ultimate cooler reduction.
I don't know what 𝘀𝗏 was doing there. Very much on the wrong side of town, as... I mean, look, to be fair to the Observer, it was very dark, but I would have liked to see DNK get that kill, as he does move up to 7-1.
And as I like to trash talk the Observer there, I mean, there's like 3 kills happening in 1 minute and basically at the same time all over the map. You cannot catch them all. I mean, it's just like the modern Pokemon games. It's very hard to find.
He's in a bit of trouble as he's put in the Hextech Ultimatum, but DNK going so low, that will be a kill. It's another shutdown going over to the Nami. It's traded back well, though, 1 for 1.
Yeah, 1 for 1 is a very favorable trade for Team 𝘀𝗏e, I would actually say. And 𝘀𝗏...
Okay, so this is why 𝘀𝗏 is there. That's reasonable. Okay, fair enough. 𝘀𝗏 didn't deserve the comment. He got a kill on the Jinx.
He wastes TP to get out of there, and he just gets gold card. I mean, I like the try, of course, because if he gets like 1 more second, he escapes there and they just get a kill, and also a kill back onto 𝘁, who definitely needs it because he's very much struggling in this game like this. Of course, it looks a bit dumb, but it wasn't that dumb, let's be honest. Still, though, Team 𝘀𝗏e 3k gold down. They are down the Chemtech Drake as well, which doesn't do that much in combat stats on its own, but of course it leads them closer to the soul, which we are not seeing which soul we are getting, because
probably going to be
Hextech.
But yeah, this is just simple. Nothing the Graves can do.
Yeah, he cannot really do anything there. He's flashless. I mean, he can quick draw away, maybe even ult away, but no, his ult was on cooldown, and Nocturne with Paranoia. You already see it in the Observer, in the HUD below. His ult cooldown after ulting just now is more than half back up. So yeah, get ready to see more Paranoia, or maybe don't get ready to see anything, because the map will be very dark.
It certainly will be. This was a good fight back from 𝘀𝗏e, I think, getting another shutdown. It's a shame that 𝘀𝗏 has gotten both Nocturne shutdowns, but this is going to be a very, very fed Nami. Not the worst.
Yeah,
look at this. Darkness, darkness, darkness. Someone help the Vietnamese. They don't have electricity, apparently, because the lights are constantly out.
And I just have to remind you, the ult is already half back up again.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Blackouts, like seriously, rolling blackouts. It's insane. Someone help them pay the electricity bill.
I wonder if at some point, I mean, the paranoia darkness time is like 7 seconds. If we can get permanent darkness, if he just keeps getting
Oh,
kills.
𝘁𝗀, you are so dead, as Eddie will pick up another kill. He'll get excited and whip a few rockets into 𝘁𝗏𝗏 to make him get away. And this Jinx is slowly scaling up. 3-1, has a Kraken Slayer. Team Secret are looking pretty good, 𝘀cie.
They for sure look good. I mean, the Kraken Slayer already tells that he's very confident he doesn't need a Gale Force here, and I completely understand that they are so far ahead. They have the Thresh on their team with the Lantern and can help out to peel the Jinx a little bit better, so he really would not need the mobility that the Gale Force would provide here, and Kraken Slayer is just more damage on top. There's no full tank on the side of Team Flash, so you might want to say that the Kraken Slayer doesn't have its full value, but especially against Wish, the true damage has a lot, and yeah, darkness.
Yeah, this is looking a little bit doomed. It's dark as much as it's light. This Nocturne now 8-2. He must have so much gold in his back pocket. I swear he's been sitting on just this Dirk and the 𝘀𝗰𝗃 for a while, but I'm sure when he goes and backs, he should be able to get close to the Duskblade of Drakthar. We'll see, but they're more interested in the Dragon for now, adding a second stack to that. Team Flash, quite wisely, not contesting it, though they are in the area, 𝘀𝗀𝗃.
Yeah, but they cannot do anything about it. I mean, they're 5k gold on. They also need to fear the Nocturne that might just ult again. I mean, look aside, it's 10 seconds away for his next ultimate.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of game where I want Soul of the Occult back. I mean, he cannot really go Magi here. I mean, only the E has a little bit of an AP scaling, so there's nothing to gain for him because, yeah, not much to
Okay.
do there. Parker, though, might get caught out.
He's in trouble. He's trying to speed his way out of there, but the Graves will take him down. Good job denying the assist from Jax, but this will be Team Flash finding a tower. And we've been very focused on Team Secret, justifiably. I think they are in the lead. They're, looking like the favorites to win. But I do want to praise Team Flash. They are doing a really good job of finding opportunities wherever they pop up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there are not many popping up for them, but the ones they see, they take. I mean, just now, the shutdown onto Parker, very important. It was his first death of the series, if I remember correctly. So there's one kill going to Dante's pocket. He also needs some gold to really get going onto this Graves. It's probably too late, let's be honest, but at least they are getting more than nothing there. The correct play for Parker would probably be to just stay away from the tier 1 turret and just let it drop, but he didn't really see the dive coming there. He also had the red card instead of the gold card, which is somewhat unfortunate for him. But he also had very many Dark Seal stacks. He's also losing a lot of those. But now Graves, Dante, at least getting a bit more gold, and he desperately needs it because he's not going Lethality Graves, it's a crit Graves as far as I can tell, with Shield Bow and going into the Collector. And I gotta say, Collector from behind, not a good item. Sorry.
Yeah, I do agree, as once again the lights are out, the Destiny is used, Parquet lands a good Everfrost, but they can't get forward onto 𝘁𝗏𝗏. It's just these ultimates constantly getting more and more value. The Paranoia is already halfway back up. More and more damage. A death sentence from 𝘂𝗏 lives up to its name as Eddie whips him with a rocket. Nagia flying into the backside as the Rift Herald takes down the tower. And it's all Team Secret all the time.
For sure, and I wonder how much they can really push there because this might just be the early in-app drop, but they choose against it wisely because it's pre-20 minutes. You don't really get the Baron push going with this super minion wave alone. You don't want to give free XP and gold to the side of Team Flash with the super minion there. So they don't really go for more there. I think with the low wave clear on the side of Team Flash, they might have actually done it, but yeah, you don't really finish the game there, so better just not do it there and like this. Just more gold into the pockets of Team Secret, more map control to getting the tier 3 turret going down there as well. And Parker gets some Dark Seal stacks back, and of course Nocturne with his 𝘀𝗰𝗃, his ultimate is already back up. So yeah. Team Flash gets no breaks.
It is always up. DNK is always ready to party. Has 3 collapsing on him at the moment, but he's already confirmed the camp steal, and he will drift away back to the safety of his side of the map. 𝘁𝗀𝗃 is pretty much been completely removed from this game. The Caitlyn is not having a huge impact and is in her power trough at the moment. If the game goes long, she could spike back up, of course. What do you think of 𝘂𝗏 so far, as I don't think this fight's going to go anywhere? Have you been impressed?
Actually, yes. I think he has a very detrimental part to winning this game because he managed to blow the stamina of the Caitlyn army lane very early. This is what kind of started the doom train on the side of Team 𝘀𝗡, that the Caitlyn just kept dying. Palette also on the Nami, not really the best showing he had so far. And with 𝘀𝗏, I mean, for the first game, that's a very impressive showing. I mean, usually you want a new player to just not feed when he started joining to the split. On the side of Marcus, I could also say the same thing. But 𝘀𝗏, a very good performance so far.
Yep, Dante will go down, deals a lot of damage onto DNK, but not a lethal amount. And look at 𝘀𝑸i moving forward, taken down, and 𝘀𝗏, stop stealing the shutdowns! Come on, 𝘀𝗏! You greedy boy!
It was probably the ebb and flow tick that he couldn't really control there. Yeah, but whatever. I mean, he doesn't have Ignite, so there's no Ignite tick that could have stolen it. But on the side of 𝘀𝑸i, I need to criticize it there. He's still at his flash up. Maybe he shouldn't just go too closely into the Counter-Strike. And he just lived up to the name of the passive of his champion. He got a little bit too excited there and just, with his high finesse, he just thought he could just clean up it on the whole there. He was also sparing rocket launcher auto-attacks to just snipe over the base and keep hitting targets that are very low HP. And was just a tad too much from 𝘀𝑸i. I mean, he's a somewhat new player as well, so that can happen, but it shouldn't happen too often, because a team that is better than Team 𝘀𝗡 can maybe make a lot more out of this.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, look, I don't think we should harp on him or anything. Marcus will counter-strike the gold card. The Predator has been used. 5 seconds on this Ocean Drake. We are on the Ocean map, of course, something we haven't quite mentioned, but it is pretty obvious. Dante, one rocket, takes him, a fifth of his health off. 𝘀𝗏 gets stunned up. 𝘀𝗏 throws out the hook. It's not quite enough, though. They go in. 𝘀𝑸i will get the kill with the zap, and now they're firing in on this 𝘀𝗏x. He's locked in the ultimatum. That is a hexagon of death for you. And this is going to be all 5 members of Team 𝘀𝗡 cleaned out momentarily. Look at that lethal tempo. Look at the work it's putting in. It's a big boy fight from 𝘀𝗏i. He gets the quadra. They get the dragon.
And they maybe even get the game, but they just chose to go for the Ocean Drake instead and just go for Baron, apparently, because they don't want to finish off this 5-0 start. I mean, gotta be fair, Team 𝘀𝗡's death timers are somewhat low because they are so low in XP, very starved on this one. So they actually respawn pretty fast. Palette just now respawned, and he was maybe the problem this fight. He got gold carded, had to burn his flash, was on 100 HP. Then DNK came in with his paranoia, and the reset steady started on the side of Team Secret. Also, 𝘀𝗡's getting excited there, can just wow them down. And here we see the fight again. Here we see 𝘀𝗏 with the gold card. Palette has to flash, and what I just said, the death sentence goes right, but it doesn't really matter. And 𝘀𝗏i can just free hit there, and the exact ultimatum also very good to make sure nobody escapes here. And
look at his range.
The 𝘀𝗏 getting right, yeah.
Lethal tempo.
Lethal tempo gives the insane range of the 𝘀𝗏's rocket launcher even more range. So good luck escaping that one, Team 𝘀𝗡. You just now couldn't, and now they are 10k gold down. It's sole point on the side of Team Secret. 4 minutes more until we see maybe an Ocean Soul, but maybe with the Baron, Team Secret can maybe just finish the game beforehand.
It wouldn't shock me at all. Maybe the dragon will spawn, and that's kind of what gets Team 𝘀𝗡 to commit to a fight, but I don't think the soul is going to affect the outcome of this game. Let me put it that way. 𝘀𝑸i is now 9-2. It's a 3-item 𝘀𝗡x, an entire Stormrazor ahead of the Caitlyn. 𝘀𝗏 has been caught out here. He'll go down. This is a bit of a fight back here for 𝘀𝗏. Team Secret don't want to pull the trigger on the 4v5.
And maybe I just praised 𝘀𝗏 a bit too much earlier, because this just was not it. I mean, the team is 10k. You don't need to be alone there, and 𝘀𝗏 maybe also doesn't need to be alone there as well. He goes away with the blast gun, and maybe 4v5 we can still fight it.
Yeah, it's another catch. It's a shutdown there. Now onto the 𝘀𝗏. A little bit of miscoordination here from Team Secret. They are giving some gold back to Team 𝘀𝗏, and as you said, maybe it won't affect this game, but it's something to keep track of, because a better team will take your whole arm there.
For sure. I mean, this is just 2 picks that really do not need to happen on the side of Team Secret. I mean, as 𝘀𝗏 died, it was kind of fine, but then they were like half committed to going out, half committed to going in. This is the result of it. They, in the end, only dropped Nagia, which is somewhat fine for them. I mean, it's just kills just in punctuation, of course. They still have 3 Baron buffs on them, and they're still very far ahead. But you give shutdowns over to your enemy team, and yeah, better teams will absolutely abuse this. And this is something that shouldn't happen to Team Secret. They only bet Team 𝘀𝗏 also in this winter split, are just now looking to get their second win against them as well. And they probably also want to beat other teams in this split. So if they really want to do this, they looking at BTS, looking at SPTC maybe there, they really need to not do mistakes like these, because those teams will surely punish it more.
Yeah, let's have a replay of this. It was just a couple of catches. As we will fast forward, it was just a realm warp to get onto them. 𝘀cie, I mean, I think just don't go over the wall. Yeah, just don't go over the wall. I think in future, I think that's an easy mistake not to make twice. Oh my god,
Wow,
look at the damage this Jinx does. Now they're pulling the trigger on the ultimates. They're going on in. The darkness is there. The Destiny Gate has been used as well. On the backside, 𝘀𝘀 will pick up his first kill, but he's gone a little bit too deep. And 𝘂𝗀 will get a shutdown. 𝘂𝗀, of course, he switched to mid for this game to go up against his old nemesis of 𝘁𝗀. And 𝘂𝗀, you know we love you, but 𝘁𝗀's got the better of him.
This game for sure. I mean, it wasn't really 𝘁𝗀 kind of showing him who's a real mid laner and who isn't, right? I mean,
Yep.
aside from that, I really do not like how deep 𝘀𝗀 went there. He just goes so deep just to kill 𝘁𝗀, and let's be honest, 𝘁𝗀 doesn't deal damage anyway. He's on 2 items, and one of them is a rapid fire cannon, the other one is also a utility one, if I remember correctly. And here we see the engage again. They do this because they get so much chunk onto Dante, because he just loses half his HP from one rocket launcher crit and one super mega death rocket. And like this, I think they can go in. This was not the way in, though. They are so far ahead, but they still need to play on their terms, so to say. Maybe like wait for the next Baron and bait it out. And just now, 30 seconds for the next wave, and Team 𝘀𝗀 has been getting 3 shutdowns. This is something that is not acceptable at all, I would say. And maybe with another catches like this, the game that looked like a formality might actually be close again.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can sit there and look at this Rise being 1-6, which is obviously terrible. Realm warping forward, they don't find anything immediately, but he does have a 70 CS lead over the 𝘁𝗁. Admittedly, they still just haven't switched the scoreboard around. It's actually only a 30 CS lead in the direct matchup. But Jax with the 55 CS lead, it's pretty big. Destiny Gate is being used as we move into this final round. The smite is there for DNK. You know the Prince of Thieves doesn't miss his smites as he goes over the wall with the Q and will take down the Graves. 𝘀𝗀 is answered back on. Marcus, he's in some trouble, but now 𝘁𝗀 getting collapsed on. He will go down as well. 𝘁𝗀, 𝘁𝗀 finds the hook into the back line. 𝘂𝗀 goes down, and now Eddie's excited. Jumping forward, spooled up with lethal tempo, and lethal he is as he picks up another. DNK will go collect the palette. The rest of the team are headed for the base.
And the desperation play from Team 𝘀𝗀 was not working out. They lose the smite battle, and like this, they are also doomed to lose the team fight as well. It's Ocean Soul on the side of Team 𝘁𝗀, but that doesn't really matter in the bigger picture. Just them winning the fight is all that matters. DNK also, just for good measure, just gets another paranoia kill off onto Palette, because he doesn't really want to keep chasing there. And they apparently can't end, which surprises me a little bit. But they can go for another Baron setup, and this is something that Team 𝘀𝗀 likely will not contest.
Yeah, and let's have a look at how this played out. It started off with a good ult combination once again.
Yeah, once again, Destiny and the paranoia coming in. DNK gets into the pit easily. He cannot really be zoned off of that. He's a Nocturne that has ultimate available, and the vision is not that doomed on the side of Team Secret, so it just gets in. I wouldn't say easy steal, because it's still somewhat 50-50 against this Graves, who was also the one leading the charge with his team. It's actually not really that easy to steal Graves like that, so props goes out to DNK there. And I mean, there's still 10k gold ahead. The fight is pretty much a formality if it's not starting off with a catch on the side of Team 𝘀𝗀. I mean, the last 2 skirmishes were looking like this, but just now there's maybe another one.
Yeah, it is another one as that paranoia has gone in. They're going straight onto Dante, locked in the Hextech ultimatum, but this Nocturne not really working out as he does just get cleaned up. But you know what is working out? It's Jinx as she charges on forward. They are all getting jinxed as they're taken down low. Another one reigns in. It's a triple kill for Eddie as he's trying to make his name here in the VCS. They're bearing down on Palette. He will get stunned up. They want to give the quadra kill to this young man. I don't know if it quite counted, but it counted in our heart as he picks up that 4th kill. They move on to the base, and finally, game 1 will end. 37 kills for Team Secret in 29 minutes, 𝘀𝗀. This game was an absolute bloodbath, but in the end, it is Team Secret that crawls out of the mud and the muck with a win.
Yeah, really one-sided affair overall, I would say. Not the cleanest win, but it was a very, very bloody one on the side of Team Secret. And like this, they show that they are not looking as lost as Team 𝘀𝗀 looks so far, at least. And gotta say, overall, still good performance by 𝘀cie𝗰𝗋, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more of him because this was not a bad showing. And also gotta give props to Marcus, who is probably not in an easy spot that he has to sub in there and has to play top lane all of a sudden for the on paper worst team in the league, for the bottom tier team in this league so far. And he played fine considering what he got going for him, what he got offered by his team. And like this, I think he can lose this game with his head held high. But for the rest of Team 𝘀cie, it is looking very, very rough.
Well, we will be back in about 7 minutes to get the thoughts of our analyst desk after that excellent salty bets. Oh, sorry, I mean VCS match. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back soon. Welcome back to the VCS English Analyst Desk, and what a game it was. High octane, high kills. Everything we love about the VCS except good play. Welcome back, Jensen. Welcome back, 𝘀𝗶𝗹𝗀. Jensen, I want to go to you first. You predicted Team Flash, and they've let you down already. What are your thoughts?
I went and looked at some of the players. I thought this is a team that maybe had some issues with piecing things together in the mid lane. Maybe some individual errors coming through from the players, but it is the veteran players who are kind of dropping the ball over here. And if you're asking me what went right, the question is what I think. Almost nothing kind of went right over there. From my perspective, the draft was poor. We criticized it. Going for an assassin to do it, Jinx, you probably have to do like assassin in the mid lane, mage in the bot lane kind of setup, or Jhin in the bot lane. That's how setup to do with the Jinx. Didn't look for that. Counterpick themselves with Caitlyn into the Jinx and Twisted Fate. We've gone through this already. The mid game, they didn't know how to play out the lanes accordingly. If you know that your weak side Caitlyn is distinct in mismatch jungle potting, your jungle is potting towards the top side of the map. You have to crash the third wave and then reset for the cow. Go for the cheater reset and accept that the opponent's support will be level 3 first. Overstayed for a wave, gave 2 free kills over to the Nocturne. Coordinating around mid 2v2 and 3v3. The opponent has an enchanted support, they have an enchanted support. They have to manage the mid wave accordingly. Didn't do that. Gave another 2 kills over to the Nocturne. In the mid game as well, the way that they were moving on the map, I like that they were trying something to try to make use of these deep pushes, but they didn't know how to coordinate the reset timings. They didn't know how to defend the cross map on the reset, and I think that this was overall a disaster from Team Flash at every single stage of the game.
I have to agree, but 𝘀𝗶𝗹, what were your thoughts on Team Secret? Did they look better, or was it just against Flash?
Well, I mean, part of it was against Flash, and obviously Jensen has very strong feelings on that opinion. I'll go to just the fact that DNK has kind of been searching for this 1v9 champion. He's tried a couple of different things, and nothing's really stuck, but it appears as though the Nocturne might pop out as the pick that he can make work. I mean, you saw how many times did he press his ultimate key? I think he might have pressed his ultimate key more times than the entire side of Team Flash did the entire game. That's what that Axiomark Nocturne was bringing to the game. They slammed home that bottom lane advantage that they had. Didn't really even need Pocket that much, but Pocket was still able to make impact across the map for the most part. And despite that, Team Flash was trying to make something happen on the cross side. It just wasn't fast enough. They couldn't get anything done really with the Jax effectively in the side lane or have it kind of coalesce to a team fight at any point. It was kind of just DNK running things as much as he wanted for the entire bottom side till Eddie was able to full carry fights.
How do they fix it? I think there's a lot of holes to patch in draft, something that simply 3 bans is not particularly enough. Jensen, where do you start for Flash?
I think that Pallet is somebody who definitely is a lot more comfortable playing these roaming type supports and things, right? So maybe a ban on the Nami, get the Nami out of the picture. It feels like they're just picking this up because they feel that the champion is really strong. They want to take the Enchantress out of the equation. So maybe getting that out of the equation, getting him on the likes of an Alistar or something like that, where it might not be so reliant on lane, but they have the ability to really influence the game at the later stages, right? So that they don't funnel themselves into Enchanter type composition is a good start for them. And if I'm looking at the history of the way that this team drafts in general, is that they place a lot of emphasis on playing these what I call one lane compositions, right? Jace has been a very big pick for Yoshino, but I think with Marcus coming in, he should be the top laner for the rest of the series. So I'm not sure how that's going to be changing things up. If that's going to be the case, find a way to control the Jinx. You cannot give the Jinx over to the opponents, and or at least secure the Jinx for yourself, because Jinx creates a certain ease of execution. The champion pool is lane, she's not ranged, lethal tempo is really good, and she scales fantastically as well as the game goes along. So there's some starting points. Maybe start with having a higher priority on the Jinx, if not going for something where you actually have the ability to find a little bit more agency for Pallet.
And 𝘀𝗶𝗹, Team Secret obviously looked pretty dominant that game, but it definitely didn't look perfect out of them. You were praising 𝘀𝗶 when we were talking in our break. Obviously, he looked pretty good, but how do they shore up the little holes in the armor there? Was it a draft thing, or just they got a little bit too hyped because they were so far ahead?
I think it was a combination of a little too hype. The big thing for me was closing that game got a little bit sloppy. DN or their whole composition was kind of designed around Nocturne being able to make these big plays to start with and getting Jinx into team fights, which was great. But they didn't have the perfect way to full initiate a fight as a 5-man unit. You saw a number of times where 𝘀cie was caught out in open space, 𝘀𝗀𝗃 was caught out in open space, 𝘂𝗏 was caught out in open space because they're trying to generate this like game ending or kind of game crippling team fight against the side of Team Flash. And while yes, they were able to get it because they were up 10,000 gold. Again, against better teams, if you're even in gold, there is the struggle of like if you continue to do something like that, you're getting them better ways to try to interact with the map. You're getting them more space in their own jungle. You're getting them further vision wards ahead. Instead, while draft can fix it because you can get yourself better engagement, just kind of learn what it is that your composition is designed to do. If you're not going to be able to full engage with 5 members and kind of put the finishing touches on what is a very clean game, stick to just the objectives. Just go for the Baron buff and use that to siege into the base. Force them to fight into you to stop you from just taking things in the face of Team Flash. Because if that's the case, they're going to take a bad fight and they're going to lose the game one way or another instead of just giving them back little resources here and there.
I just
For
want to chip
sure.
in a little bit onto that as
Okay.
well, because I'm looking at Team Circuit and I see the way that this team is playing. It feels like I've stepped into a time portal back into how the VCS was in 2018 and 2019, right? Like the way the macro game has evolved for all of these other teams has changed so much, and we still see this positioning, this jostling with 5v5 people, 5v5 in the mid lane. They aren't even contesting the wave. They're just two teams just waiting. It's like, is this team gonna step up a little bit too far in the mid lane? They aren't gonna do it. Never mind. I'm pressing the go button anyways, That's the classic VCS as we knew and loved. This is the classic VCS that I knew when I was coaching there back in 2018 and 2019. And it's fun to see that some things don't change, but it's a bad sign for the overall macro health of things. And I think this ties into what you're talking about, how Team Secret can learn. They need to go in there and understand that with these leads, they should be able to conduct these set pieces and set plays. They can just close out the game very cleanly for them from this point. Or you know what? Hey, VCS never changed. It's 60Q game in 30 minutes? Like it's a banger, right? Everybody loves watching it. It's really entertaining, non-stop action. So maybe don't change, but if you don't change, then I'll continue to see you at the bottom of the table.
Yeah, don't change for our sake. We love watching it, but maybe for your sake, you should calm down a little bit, Team Secret, to actually improve. Of course, there is the added volatility of a new patch. Obviously, that Axiom Arc Nocturne just 2 days ago would not have flown in this league. Rebel, looking at this matchup, does Flash have a chance in Game 2?
That's a tough one. Mostly because I think I'm really, really heavily in favor of having in what is Marcus over 𝘁𝗺 for the remainder of the split. But now we throw in the problem of 𝘂𝗍 he's definitely the most experienced player and should be the best player on this roster considerably over every other player. Maybe 𝘁𝗺's there to contest him on that, but the intention is, swipping him from top to mid lane is something that's going to have some growing pains to it. You saw it in that game where he's playing against 𝘁𝗀𝗃, and all of us would say 𝘂𝗍 is probably a better player than 𝘁𝗃𝗃, but that game was not indicative of that case. Sometimes that's the team play. Some of it is the growing pain of now, okay, a top laner that's been a top laner for his whole career is swapping into mid lane so that this rookie can be more comfortable, Marcus sitting in the top position, and that hopefully he and Dante can have some rapport, which did happen over the course of the game. But now it's about reestablishing the style that you're going for if this is what you decide. What I don't want to see is them reverting and starting to mess with this composition where it's like, okay, one day we're going to have in Marcus, and then 𝘁𝗺's going to start, and then we have 𝘂𝗍 and 𝘁𝗺, and then we have 𝘂𝗍 and Marcus. I don't want to see that. This is too late in the split for that. You're just going to waste this split. You're going to walk into next split with brand new people. Pick the ones that you're going to be running for the remainder of the split. Let them play out the split and see what it is that they have to be able to play with. I think 𝘁𝗺 has shown enough to us that's keep him or leave him, probably not the best idea to keep him around. But that game actually inspired some confidence for Marcus. So now it's a question of, can 𝘂𝗍 make the swap to mid lane effectively, or can Marcus make that swap?
I think I'd rather see Marcus make that swap. I'm going to be totally honest. 𝘂𝗍 is further along in his career. It's a bit harder to do that. Jensen, what do you think about these? You're a coach. What do you think about this approach? Do you agree with Rebel, or do you think switching players around has more merit?
think at this point of time, you're in crisis mode. You know, you're just gonna try to throw everything to stick things on the walls. It's just a question of, do you have an internal system? Do you really try to track things and track progress as you go along, right? Because I don't fault them for trying all these style of things, because sometimes, especially for a lot of the Vietnamese teams, right? Like the way that things happen in scrims and the way that things happen on stage can be very different. And I think that this is a phenomenon that happens to players all over the world as well. Like the stress factors and playing stage games is going to be so different. So you want to have the ability to try these players out, right? If you're playing a more uncomfortable position, if I'm going to dial that up by making you play that in a stage game as well, how are you going to react to that? Do you then end up in a situation where you might have a choker and stuff? So I think it's hard to make a blanket verdict to say that, oh, you should always swap, you should never swap, or it's like all this stuff chaos that's happening. This is team that's 0-7. They're not gonna make playoffs. There's no qualification for Worlds or MSI or anything that's happening over here. So this is just building for the next season and then just running as many iterations as possible. They're basically running public tryouts on the broadcaster stream, right?
Pretty much. And we are heading into draft. The Nocturne has been removed. They've paid their power bill. They're sick of that one. The 𝘁𝗏 actually removed one. Both teams have very high Graves priority.
That's it's interesting. As we started the split, we saw Graves kind of pop up in the jungle. We were expecting it maybe to go into the top lane the way it had at Worlds, but I mean, here it seems our junglers have just really taken to that pick being something that they can use to scale into the mid part of the game. Maybe they're just not that concerned. Maybe TF specifically is not that concerned that TF is going to be able to abuse them in the early game. So just consider it free scaling for DNK to take things over, I suppose.
No priority in the Jinx once again. Interesting. Once again, I think it's a series of questionable drafts because the Graves is not necessarily locked into the jungle position, right? Graves top was a thing and still is a thing, which is something that they should be very comfortable running at the top lane, especially if Team Flash's ammo at this point of time is to try to play through Yoshino, right? If you set up a Lucian Nidalee type of setup, you're probably playing at the top side of the map, and Graves is a very good pick to neutralize love plays on the top side.
Ooh. I like this. I like that at least our VCS teams are picking up this little like caveat from Worlds, which was that whenever it was the Lucian and the Nami being kind of threatened as a pick or even being just outright selected, they would go immediately into the Aphelios Lulu as the combination, just because that lane is supposed to be at least manageable while the Aphelios scares up in the late game. We actually get, what is this, our third Yuumi of the splits? That's kind of crazy. 𝘁𝗏 is pulling out all the stops, I guess, for this game.
It's an interesting choice for them to go for the Yuumi over here. It goes against the advice that was given them previously. They're now playing into the Enchanted Matter, and I feel that this is not something that I'll be too happy playing against. Playing with as 𝘀𝗏. Sorry, as not 𝘀𝗏. As Team Flash. Yeah, works both ways, right? But 𝘀𝗏 has not been banned, and 𝘀𝗏 is a very strong champion against all these enchanted picks. So we have to see how the rest of the draft pans up. Aphelios has a natural range advantage over the Lucian, so the Lucian Yuumi, in this case, definitely, I'm really not a fan. I really feel that Team Flash has been just... The drafts have just been all over the place. It doesn't come together as a coherent unit, you know? In terms of how they really want to be enforcing these sort of things. You usually want a strong skirmishing jungler. If they went for Lucian Sinzao and then they went for the Yuumi after that makes sense. If you went for Nidalee, you usually want to be pairing this with Leona, 𝘁𝗏, any form of CC support, maybe even the Alistar at this point of time, so that you can lock them down and then go in and then burst somebody up. Put somebody off. Now you have the very weird range of not sure if you're going to be playing a book composition, not sure if you're going to play to try to snowball your bot lane. It's just so strange how Team Flash is drafting at this point of time. I won't say 𝘀𝗏 again, yeah, but I mean, it's something where I'm going to have to give Stark a call after this, like, yo, what's going on here? What's up with the drafts? Give it to him a little bit, you know? Or maybe then, maybe he's the one who's teaching me now. It's like, oh, this is actually how things are in Vietnam, you know? Lucian has bonus 200 range or something.
I wish.
I think it's funny how Team Secret actually went for the double like top lane, mid lane flex ban just because Renekton's buffs went back through to give him the additional stun duration, and that was super popular in the spring, was to just take Renekton mid lane. And so they just take care of those two champions. They're like, all right, Marcus, if you're going to play mid lane, then you're playing one of these champions because they're top laners also. We're just not going to let you have that one.
It makes a lot of sense. Stet, of course, is a very popular, well, very successful mid laner in the VCS because he keeps getting picked by 𝘁𝗏, and 𝘁𝗏 makes it work. But the Vex for 𝘁𝗏, look, it's not the kind of champion we like to see 𝘁𝗏 on, but it is a very strong champion.
So the way that I teach people to think about Vex, right? This is a combination of I would say she's basically season 12 Lissandra, right? This is a champion that effectively is a very similar kit. You have a very strong zone control around you, and you have this ability to go in it with a very strong engage. People are complaining that she's an assassin and stuff like that. Maybe her numbers a little bit overtuned, but I like the fact that they see quite a short range champion, very good close range crowd control, lots of dashes to work off as well. And then once again, Team Flash, they see all these tools, right? Lots of lockdown, enchanters to protect the Infidels. Let's go in and dive against Vex and the Infidels. I mean, I just can't stop blaming the drafting from Team Flash at this point of time. But if you were to look at Vex and replace that for Lissandra, and you look at Team Flash's team composition, right? So going back to the Lissandra point, this is something that I wouldn't be happily playing against as well. You're diving into this strong crowd control. You're diving into one of the champions that deals the best with against these self-dive compositions, and he has to Lulu to help him survive the dive as well. So I'm just gonna say it. I predicted Team Flash to win this 2-0, but with the way they've been drafting, this is going to be a very easy 2-0 for Team Secret.
And look, I agree with Jensen, but we have been pretty focused on the Team Flash draft. I think the Team Secret draft, look, I've never been a huge fan of 𝗀. I always think he's a count against a draft, but ignoring that, I really do quite like what Team Secret have put together here. It's a lot of faith in 𝘀𝘀ie, and that's something we've been wanting to do, right, Rebel?
Yeah, it's a matter of, like, 𝘀𝘀ie has been perhaps one of the better performing members of this team, even when they were having their struggles. Our expectations of 𝘀𝘀ie were not super high coming into the split because we didn't know much about him, but he's proven himself as a fantastic ADC as we've gone along. And now, I mean, his laning partner has been upgraded. DNK seems to be taking control of things. As long as his solo lanes aren't just like completely losing the game before he has a chance, it actually looks quite nice. He seems capable of fulfilling what is essentially just like a baby Artemis role, which is quite nice for the side of Team Secret.
Yeah, I like it a lot. 𝘁𝗏 on that 𝘀𝗀ie, just looking at it, just scares me. I've got too many memories of terrible 𝘁𝗏 𝘀𝗀ie games, even though it should fit his style. And it's 𝘀𝗀ie. How can you play badly on it?
I just want to throw in some praise for Team Secret over here, because I think that this is a team that has had very coherent drafting from what we've seen so far. Right, first game stack the globals together. They prioritize the Jinx accordingly in that game. This game, once again, it's a very strong. This is a very traditional scaling team fighting setup, right? Enchanter, hyper carry, some form of zone control mage in the mid lane, and then a very strong team fighting top laner. As much as it's disliked, 𝗀𝗏 does fulfill the role really well.
And we do have to jump quickly into game. Thank you, Rebel. Thank you, Jensen. We will be getting your thoughts after this game, no matter who wins. As I bring 𝘀cie back in, we hit the rift. What do you think of this? Do you think Team Flash has redeemed themselves at all? Or are you with our analyst desk on this one?
I'm with the analyst desk. I think Team Flash has a lot of struggles coming in with this draft. They have potentially 3 losing lanes against the Graves, and they have the 𝘀𝗏ie themselves, which would like to have some priority in any lane, like any jungler would have. But I like to go with a different narrative. It is indeed 𝘂𝑐e self-counter-picking himself into the mid lane against 𝘁𝗏, and he's going 𝘀𝗀ie against Vex, which is very brave of him. And I'm all looking forward to see if he does it, how much he smashes 𝘁𝗏 with this matchup, because it's not an easy one at all. Vex likes to counter mobility. 𝘀𝗀ie, one of the most mobile champions you could pick in the mid lane. And yeah, it won't be easy to play these dive champions into all the CC, as Jensen said multiple times in this Endless Desk segment. And let's wait and see what Team Flash can do, because I'm not convinced by this draft as well.
Yeah, I'm super not convinced, but I'd like to be wrong, because I'd like a third game. Would be a shame for our casting duo debut just to be, a bit of a 2-0 stomp. But when it is Team Flash versus Team Secret, it's never going to be one that we necessarily want to put in the reels, is it? It's 𝘂𝑐e up against 𝘁𝗏. It is still the grudge match in the mid lane.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I've seen at least the scoreboard has changed, so we don't need to inflict brain damage to us and calculate in our heads how the CS leads are actually going. And gotta say, the first game was actually quite a banger despite the low quality of the game, so I wouldn't really put it onto the casting duo that we are not having a great debut so far, because it's being fantastic so far. And We're looking forward to see what will happen here with Marcus on a different pick, because the Jax was looking fine for him. If he also manages to play the Gwen well into the 𝗀, which is not an easy matchup to play, especially with a few levels in, it will be a very good showing of him. And he will outscale the 𝗀 eventually, but the way up there is what's really mattering here. And the question is if there even will be a mid to late game for the side of Team Flash, because if it goes like game 1, Team Secret might just wall all over them.
Yeah, I mean, if it goes like game 1, then, you know, I think I'm going to lose my voice when we still have a whole nother series to cast. 𝘁𝗏 realizes he was in trouble, just flashes away immediately. A good first step onto vision from Dante. He had to do nothing to get that flash.
That was a great showing of him, for sure. I mean, he just revealed that he's there, and 𝘁𝗏 gives him respect flash. Definitely something to keep an eye on, because Vex without the flash is still very punishable. Even for the 𝗀𝗀, she doesn't have an easy time going in, but if she does, if the passive of Vex is down, then there's definitely an opening for her.
He's going low. This 𝘀𝗻𝗏 is in so much trouble. He's been taken out. 𝘂𝗏 managed to get away. The Prowling Projectile not being able to be guided, but first blood in the 2v2.
Yeah, and there's a 2v2 for the Yuumi lane, which is something that is absolutely rare and definitely shouldn't happen. And yeah, Eddie and 𝘂𝗏 also burned all their summoners there. The other bot lane, to be fair, did too, but this is definitely not what you want to happen there. I feel Lulu should definitely just get the show off there and avoid fights. If they manage to scale in a little bit, they can go for 2v2s themselves. This was a little bit too early for them. And like this, first kill going over for Team Flash is also the first blood onto the Lucian, not onto the Yuumi, which definitely helps Team Flash's win chances here. And at least 𝘀𝗻𝗏 doesn't lose a lot of waves here, so it's not the end of the world, but definitely an unnecessary misstep by him.
Yeah, for sure. And this is a good bit of confidence getting back into the Team Flash bottom lane. Dante, he's caught in the jungle. DNK wants to get himself some fur coats.
What?
But can't do it. The Graves, it's a projectile. So he does manage to get away from that. The Graves auto attack failing him. 𝘂𝗏 vindicated as Dante does escape.
For sure, but it was a very good invade by him. But he put the flash earlier, so as you said, the projectile is the projectiles. So the auto attack doesn't really go through if he manages to blast cone in time, which is what happened there. And another one.
Okay. 𝘁𝗏, he was just hustling game 1. The Caitlyn didn't work out, but the Lucian definitely is.
It definitely is. There's another 2v2 kill for them. And in farm-wise, it's very even here, but here maybe Marcus gets a Predator gang.
Yeah, they're going to try and go on it. It is the Mega 𝗀. The Gwen is immune to a lot, but not immune to that, as Team Secret do fire back.
Yeah, great roam going out there for 𝘁𝗏. He got the prior in the mid lane. He also has a Predator Vex, so he can easily use a lot of movement speed to get in there. And he also tanked intentionally 2 turret shots there to
𝘂𝗏.
have a little bit more safety there. And it was just
Great raid.
I wouldn't really call it a 2v2 death, because it was just a 2v1. He just shouldn't be in the tri-bush alone there. He should go the long route. And of course, it is very much painful to lose experience there. But in this case, probably the right decision to just play it safe. You don't really have to fear anything if you just go even into the mid game, I would say, because this is something where the comp is still very much fine with 𝘀𝗏𝗏's Lulu, with the Vex in the mid lane, and with 𝗀 still being strong there. So on the side of Team Secret, I really do not applaud if they do mistakes like these, because it really shouldn't happen. And Team Flash is maybe like the only team where you are somewhat allowed to do that, but even against them, I mean, they just now showed you that they punish it.
Yeah, for sure. And I've been trying to make the point, but I just keep getting distracted, is we need to see 𝘁𝗏𝗏 finding himself again. And this is a great way to start it off, but this might be where it all comes tumbling down. 𝘁𝗏 detaches, realizes that the Lucian is dead, so the cat is just going to save herself. What a cat thing to do. A dog would stay and fight. But that is going to be the kill picked up there for the Graves. I personally think I would have given the kill to Eddie.
Yeah, if you can. I mean, in this situation, it really looked like DNK was the one who really should get the kill there, because Eddie, he was like half a mile away. You can just really funnel the kill into him. You're just happy that you get the kill, they get the shutdown. It's also not that bad to get the great play.
Careful. He has gone Mega. He's got... Oh my word! What a 𝗀 ultimate. Yoshino is going to be the win, the 1v3. It's already a double kill for 𝘁𝗏𝗏. Yoshino gets one back, but it's just a consolation prize.
Definitely, it's just a consolation prize. He gets the ego 1v1 there against 𝘁𝗏𝗏 to have really something going for him. Yeah. But I mean, it was just a very good bombo combo on the side of Nagia and Park. I mean, Mega Na into a huge Shadow Surge Fear. If you get one kill out of this, you also get the Reset City going on for Vex, and this just shows how strong this combo really is and how strong Vex in general as a champion is, because the champion is a little bit overtuned on release, as many Riot Games champions are. And yeah, here we see it again in the replay. Good Mega Na by Nagia, very well played. And I think Team Flash shouldn't really have gone for this in the first place, because it's really risky to do so. But here, they did this and they got punished for it, so that's also nice to have. And DNK with another kill also on this board. He is a 300 gold shotgun glowing over him, and he might be very soon completing his 𝗀𝗶𝗹𝗀𝗀. But speaking of that...
Okay, 𝘀𝗀. 𝘀𝗀's here to play, 𝘀𝗀cy.
Definitely is. I mean, he needs to be there to play, because he's the
as
one
well. They did.
Apparently, they killed him off screen again.
All right, this is a big Lucian.
For sure. I mean, just now he got his 4th kill, and he is the solo record of his team so far, because where does the Yuumi really want to sit? I mean, the Gwen is behind against the Na now. Yoshino also not doing too hot against the Vex. I mean, he just now got one solo kill against her in the 1v3, where Vex also blew all the abilities onto the whole team, but they didn't really focus around this. I mean, maybe the Raider will later be a target for her, let's be honest. But right now, this Lucian with the Gale Force, with the Yuumi on his back, is looking pretty scary.
Yeah, this is a terrifying Lucian. Already has his Gale Force at 9.5 minutes, 4 kills. A team comp that can potentially draw a lot of aggro off him, if not necessarily peel directly. I think Team Flash has a pretty good chance in this one. They're 300 gold ahead.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it doesn't look too bad for them, and I think they really need to...
Never mind. Okay, he just lives.
He just lives. I mean, not even close, baby, right? I mean, he almost has 20
Calculated.
HP. And I think Team Secret needs to have a better idea of how to set up vision, because Zhuhao, I mean, he is a new support coming in, and just now he
you
got
are not safe backing there, Eddie. That is a very close back. He has to try and find a way through Zhuhao. Doesn't quite have it at the moment. This 𝘀𝗻𝗔 is going to be able to back off, but it's going to be more tower plates for the Lucian.
For sure, and they managed to get away there. I think maybe even Dante can just go in there with the takedown despite not hitting a javelin toss, but against the Lulu with Polymorph, you're probably wise to not do so. And like this, more turret platings going on over to the side of Team Flash, and the bot gap is just so huge for them right now. It looks like a little bit of a disaster, but meanwhile on the top side, Marcus is getting the weak side treatment. He plays very well so far in his first series, but there's just a lot of things going wrong for him, because Na, while being only even in CS, gets all the plating money in the world, also gets the first turret bonus, and the tier 2 turret might also be in trouble because the Herald gets another charge.
Yeah, it's a lot of damage being done to structures here by Team Secret, keeping this game very, very close. That 300 gold lead has swung the other way now, as Team Secret is ahead, and more pressure is beginning to land on 𝘀𝗀's shoulders. This Gwen... I mean, Gwen is a scaling monster. At 2 items, she can do pretty horrible things, but she's got to be there. I'm pretty scared of this Vex, even though Yoshino does have a pretty comfortable farm lead. Uh-oh, not again.
Yeah, final chapter.
Final chapter is being used, but Eddie got the wild growth. He's a big boy, but the speed boosts are coming in. The glitter lance will hold them for now. It's an excellent prowling projectile, finding its way onto Eddie. Paulette needs to reattach to try and get another one. Dante, TP will save them, but it should be a dragon secure for Team Flash.
Should be, and my eyes are absolutely on Eddie, because it definitely depends if he can stabilize enough in this game to really make Team Secret go for the win here, because if not, it will be all over through the bot lane, and he's 0-2 so far. If he completes his 𝘀𝗶𝗹𝗀, he might just be fine again, even if the Lucian is very far ahead of him, because the rest of them are just so far favored on the side for Team Secret, but they might just be another fight. But no, the Shadow Surge is missing on the side of 𝘀𝗀𝗃. And also what I'm looking forward to is what Vex can do with the new items. I've casted a lot of Vex before in other tournaments, and also the preseason patch, but never the two together, because I could imagine that Vex, with the Crown of the Shattered Queen, with the Shadow Flame, can be even more threatening than she used to be before the preseason patch.
Oh yeah, it's there's a lot of one-shots and very unpreventable one-shots with that Crown of the Shattered Queen. You can't really burst her out. I do apologize. My son is being very naughty today. He's normally good when we're casting, but he's in a bit of a mood. So if you hear any squawks, that's what it is. But 𝘀𝗃𝗃 is in a position to carry. This is something that would, I think, really redeem him in a lot of ways in the eyes of the community. Team Secret, of course, not doing great. Even if they win this game, it's still only Team Flash, but 𝘁𝗀𝗀's got a reputation to rebuild.
Yeah, I just realized it's the sentence on its own sounds a bit weird, right? 𝘁𝗀𝗀 in a position to carry. But yeah, just now this game, yeah, he's definitely in a position where he might just redeem himself. He also is against somewhat of his arch enemy in 𝘂cine. And here we see a dive.
Yeah, that we do, and the 𝘀𝗀𝗀s will immediately go down. 𝘂cine now in so much trouble. He's going low. He will go down. The Lulu picking up that kill now. Marcus diving in. He needs to go snip, snip, snip. Come on, get the needlework going. No, he can't sew it up. And that is going to be an easy kill there. Back for the Graves. 𝘁𝗀𝗀 now moving forward. Does not have access to the Shadow Surge, so the Vex does not influence the fight.
Doesn't, but also doesn't need to. It's still a 2-for-1 on the side of Team Secret, and I think also 𝘂cine, because of his farming, he got a shutdown on his shoulders, and I can't really fault him for going for this dive, because you really need to force against this bot lane to really get Eddie out of the picture completely, and it just was a nice response on the side of Team Secret to go there with Nagia. He also very closely survives this, because all the damage he's tanking, and he just barely gets the Mega now out with the 1-up, and just gets a very good shove into the
𝘁𝗀𝗀 missed 2 shots of the culling, and it made the difference. If those 2 shots hit, the Mega Knight doesn't go off. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Well played there by Nagia.
Yeah. If then Nagia just dies and Marcus maybe even gets out, then it would be a very huge trade on the side of Team Flash. Very favorable fight for them. But like this, it's a little bit more even on this ground. And just now, Eddie completed his shield bow, and that's the thing, right? Can you really stabilize here? I mean, is the shield bow really enough? With the Lulu on top of him, it might just be enough to at least have some relevance in this fight, especially if he gets the good weapons going on with it. It would be like the 𝘁𝗀𝗀 with the Gravitum maybe, or maybe a good Flamethrower ultimate can turn the fight around, even if he is behind.
I almost think Eddie has to play a bit more of a psychological role in this game. He's in 𝘀𝗀𝗀s, and they know what this champion can do, so even though he is 0-3, only has that 1 item, they're going to put a lot of resources into him, so even if he dies, if he just soaks up a final chapter, a culling, or a Vanguard's Edge, that might just be enough. Just, I soaked an ult and died, but then they didn't have that ult to stop the rest of my team.
Maybe that's the way to go, yeah. Just be the global taunt, so to say. Be the utility of failures. Just go with the Gravitum. Just hit up huge snares for your team so they can follow up. Maybe it really works out well with the Wombo combo, with the Mega Knight coming in, with the Shadow Surge coming in. Maybe that's the way they plan to use the failures, which is of course not the ideal way to use an failures in general, but maybe the best they can offer at this moment, and to let that topside carry this. And now we see the classic of the VCS, the Herald number 2 flip.
Yeah, they're moving forward. Team Secret have found an excellent engagement. Nagia once again going huge on the Gnar. Dante, though, he's moving in. He has a Yuumi on his back, but with 𝘁𝗀𝗀 falling down all of the flash, power evaporates in a flash. Dante, it's the double cats, and they are getting skinned.
Well, GG. Go next game. But there won't be a next game for Team Flash.
Next series.
The way it looks. Yeah, but Herald flip, I don't really understand. 𝘂cine hits his ultimate, but there's no follow-up on the side of Team Flash, and very good Mega Knight again from Nagia, and the culling shots do hit from 𝘁𝗀𝗀, but he doesn't really get any target down, and yeah, just now, I mean, he got damage onto DNK, but it was all just tanked by his shield bow, and the Moonlight Vigil didn't even hit on the side of Eddie, and it was still a 1 fight for them, because Team Flash was just so split up, and they just cleaned everything up part by part. They got 5 kills to 0 there, and the Herald number 2 as well, and this looks very one-sided yet again.
It certainly does, but at least there were some little positives. 𝘁𝗀𝗀, this is a game you can look back on and say, I played well. I've been saying, yeah, okay, 𝘁𝗀𝗀, he's not a rookie that's come in and really rocked our socks, but in a split or two, I can see this guy being good, and I think this is little flashes of that here. Unfortunately, this is a rough debut for Marcus. He didn't do much in game 1. The Jax was probably one of their better members, but it was nothing incredible, and now the Gwen's pretty terrible.
Was about to say, I mean, Marcus didn't have the worst debut at all in the first game. He was pretty fine on the Jax, and just now was a Hextech Drake claimed on the side of Team Secret, so a potential Drake soul stacking mechanic. Eddie's getting killed, but he doesn't die.
He does not. The culling did not do enough damage, particularly through the wild growth. As we head on to the Chemtech Rift, the best design thing they've ever come up with, I'm sure. As the gas fills the jungles. 𝘀𝗀 moving forward. They're trying to get onto this one. That will be a one-shot onto the 𝘀𝗻𝗺. Well played there. But look at the side. The collateral damage. 𝘁𝗀𝗺 going in with the fear. 𝘁𝗀𝗺, you absolute hero. The shadows surge and bring darkness to Flash.
From darkness to Flash, and 𝘁𝗀𝗺 with 3 kills there. And they get the 1-for-1, but the 1-for-1 is very terrible if it's 𝘀𝗀 against 𝘀𝗀, because 𝘀𝗀 has been so far down. It is, as you said before, he is the global taunt for the team. He manages to pull off so many resets on the side of Team Flash. The culling was down. He manages to die, but it is fine if you get the global response on the side of Team Secret. And just now they punish Team Flash yet again.
It starts out well, 𝘀𝗀 doing what he needs to do, but the position on the map just wasn't good enough. 𝘁𝗀𝗺 with an excellent flash W ends it all. And it's such a shame, because it started out well.
It definitely did, and I wanted to keep talking about Marcus a little bit more before this last skirmish, and speaking of him, even this game, I think he started off fine. The question to me now is if he crumbles or if he can maybe, if the game was a little bit later, can manage to have some impact again, because the Gwen is scaling very well. She is 0-4, but it doesn't matter if you have a Riftmaker, Nashor's Tooth, Zhonya's, Cosmic Drive, all these items, and yeah, as I say that, there's not much to talk about, because we do not really see much, just as the Chemtech with suggests, and yeah.
I think the Chemtech's got him. Chemtech is poured into the studio or something, as everything appears to have died, and with the Vietnamese casters on screen, I think we know that we might be having a little bit of technical difficulties, but that gives you, 𝘀𝗀cie, plenty of time to talk about whatever you'd like to talk about in this game.
I actually know the spectator bug from the German Liga cast, because this is something very odd. You get the pause, but you don't really get the sepia tone on the whole map.
Yeah.
And you don't know that it's paused. You just know it from the free screen, and you have to manually unpause despite the pause going away. So you have to basically click onto the timeline, and the spectator client is a very interesting tool Riot Games created, and you always have to find your own band-aid fixes to get away with this tool. And I hope that the VCS observers are keen to these mistakes and know what to do in this situation like this.
Well, I hope so too, 𝘀𝗀cie, because we can hope without faith. But let's talk about the game that we have seen so far. We've got plenty to talk about. Obviously, things are looking very doom and gloom for Flash, and we've ragged on them pretty heavily. Let's move over to look at Team Secret. They are the second worst team. They're 7th place. Is there anything in here that makes you think maybe they can contest to move into that next sort of mid-tier of the VCS?
That's a very good question, because so far they have only beaten Team Flash, and just now they look to at least get a clean 2-0 against them, or not really clean, because we saw the last game where they still managed to drop like 3 kills, gave away 3 shutdowns when they had the Baron, so even that wasn't too clean, but it at least looks like a 2-0 for Team Secret. And last time it was a 2-1 where 𝘁𝗺𝗺 was absolutely popping off in one of the games on the Syndra. Just now, it's very hard to tell, because I mean, it's just Team Flash. They are stomping them, but are they stomping them hard enough is the question. I mean, just now we saw the bot lane getting 2v2'd. This will very much hurt them if this happens against a better team. Just now, I mean, 𝘀𝗀 has done probably the best out of the whole Team Flash in this game in particular. Yeah. I actually doubt it's enough, because I mean, these 2v2 shenanigans happened, and even with the 10k gold in the last game, they weren't able to get a clean finish. And this to me tells that 𝘀𝗀𝗺cie, that SPTC are probably still a notch above them at least.
Yeah, I think so. It's also hard to read. Are they going to keep up this Yoshino mid thing? So this is obviously Team Flash. Look, both of these teams, I think, are doing some interesting things in this game, to say the least. I think Team Secret has a pretty good read on what's good on this patch, at least. I'm not super convinced by the Graves, but other than that, I think everything else they're picking is pretty solid. 𝘀𝗺𝗺, I mean, it's not the pick's fault. He's just getting outplayed in the bottom lane. But it's sure. You know, Jensen was saying it. It's a good draft, even if the execution's not perfect.
Definitely, and I mean, even the Grave is doing well so far. I mean, there's not really much to fault 𝘀𝗀𝗺. The question in the room is basically if there's another pick that 𝘀𝗀𝗺 could play that would be even better. I'm not sure if the Nocturne was available this game. I think it was actually banned.
It was banned.
Yeah, I mean, not surprising after game 1, to be completely honest, and with the Axiom arc not being nerfed. I mean, I already saw the preview of the next patch where the cooldown refund will be nerfed from 25% to 20%, so the Axiom arc will at least be a tiny bit less oppressive on the Nocturne than it is right now. I don't remember if yesterday Levi built it on set.
He
played
didn't.
that jungle. He didn't.
didn't.
Yeah, he didn't really care about it. He just smashed them with the 𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, which also does wonders. So he also had the chance to pick the Nocturne with Axiom Arc that game, by the way. We were all expecting it, but it didn't come through. So while Nocturne with Axiom Arc looks super strong, it's apparently not a must pick for any team, or maybe just Levi wanted to style on the Z. We don't know for sure.
We don't. It would be something that Levi would do, to just pick Zed just because it's a bit more fun and a bit more flashy than the Nocturne. But we don't really know. While we do still have this technical pause, again, apologies for that. We will be back in as soon as we can. What do you think so far of the preseason patch? Particularly with a focus on the VCS? Do you think it's looking good so far?
I mean, we have only seen like 3 series so far, if we can tell. I think coming up yesterday, I was on the analyst desk, and I think they had a pretty decent read on it. I mean, I have seen a lot of 𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀. I have seen one actually that I didn't want to see. There was like one Lux support that built 𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, which is something I heavily dislike because you are on a very expensive item. You are the support. You should maybe even go for the full utility rod on the Lux anyway. But if you happen to go damage, you should probably go Ludens and not 𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 Queen, you won't really be like close in the fight. You will probably be like hard screen away when you fire off your abilities anyway, so you don't really get to make much of the damage reduction. But if you happen to face check something, it might actually have some value for you. Overall, I would say Shadow Flame has been built once or twice, if I remember correctly, and that is an item that I'm really looking forward to see because it's just so insane if you play these champions that are very volatile and do a lot of damage and are very strong from ahead, because it's an item you deal more damage the less current health the enemy has. You get more magic penetration from it, and especially if you play champions like Vex, like 𝘀𝗀𝗀, like full AP Galio, which is a disease in the VCS, but maybe even they can go on an item like this. And
Maybe,
I'm all up for more Axiom Arc Nocturnes and maybe even other AD junglers that go this route.
Yeah, we will have to see, but we will be going to an actual pause while we wait for this tech issue to be resolved. We will be back as soon as there is gameplay to bring you. I promise you that. Spoods, bring on the tree. It's sap time.
Welcome in, everybody. We have some extended break entertainment here, as we have an opportunity to watch one of our very own casters, 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀𝘀, who is on the Caitlyn this game on the blue side, just making sure as we're kicking off into this game. 𝘀𝑇𝑎𝑙, with a very bold play, immediately getting pulled over the top of the enemy jungle wall, only to burn the flash instantly. Very interesting tech, 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀, as we're getting into this game.
Definitely, and we see the 𝘀𝑠 already going off with a nice start here. Hitting the first rocket grab and also putting 𝘀𝑠ie with it. Which
his lesson. All right.
He don't miss.
He don't miss, yeah.
I want to go like the glass half full approach, because it's not just the S-win thing, it's just the 𝘀𝑠ie hitting all the hooks, but here we see.
Oh my goodness, I thought the flash in place was going to mean the Twitch wasn't going to find the kill, but eventually it does end up going over as the Twitch finds first blood in the course of the game. Gets punished on the way back in by the 𝘁𝗏𝗏, which is quite nice. I thought it was in the jungle position, but it looks as though 𝘁𝗀 and 𝘀𝗀𝗃 had switched positions fully. So Twitch not able to take advantage of that first blood gold quite yet, but we'll have that in the back pocket when the time comes, as he gets in a bit of an auto scuffle at level 1 against the 𝘁𝗏𝗏. Not ideal for the 𝘁𝗏𝗏, but trade damage back and forth, a little bit of a health advantage there.
Definitely, and 𝘁𝗏𝗏 needs to really take care of it, because at level 2 he might not get all in again, because Twitch did indeed save his ignite, and this is very deadly. So 𝘁𝗏𝗏 needs to really make sure that he does not really push up too far here. His ability is basically all auto shove, which will be very unfortunate in this situation, but he might just let himself get shoved in, so he just doesn't die level 2 here, which might be the case right now.
It seems like the 𝘀𝗀𝗃 flashes. That's textbook. That's textbook Twitch 𝘀𝗃 synergy out of the mid-jungle position. And when you're talking about somebody like 𝘀𝑠𝑖 alongside 𝘀𝗀, they're two of the best players on the Chinese super server. I've run into them as the Rise a number of times. Unfortunately, I don't think the Lee Sin has the mechanics to run down that Twitch, and he's just going to walk out of the mid lane. As in the bottom side, the 𝘀𝗀𝗃 has a decent proc of the glacial augment, but unfortunately is not going to be able to hit the hook on the back side. So our fine caster 𝘀𝗃, attempting to climb into Challenger on his 7th account, is just not quite able to actually follow up, because there is no CC there. Nonetheless, still the 2-kill advantage, still the massive Twitch out of the mid lane with 2 kills under the belt, at least kill participation to start with. As the level 2 is reached, immediately the 𝘀𝗀𝗃 finds a pull off the trap. Very nice harassment from the likes of 𝘀𝗀𝗃 onto the Nautilus as the level 2 is finally hit.
For sure, and 𝘀𝗃 did make a nice usage of the Caitlyn trap there, that he actually get the trap onto the 𝘀𝗀𝗃 power fist, so the target is guaranteed snared, and there's also the headshot crit coming out of him, and that was some nice harass damage, definitely. Going over to, I think his name is 𝘀𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗀 ADC, which is also a very great name for an AD carry to have, and yeah, 𝘀𝗀𝗃 is not letting loose. I mean, he's already starting to get a little bit of a CS lead there. The wave is of course pushing in, but I'm not sure if 𝘀𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗀 ADC is capable of last-hitting them all under his turret.
Interesting. Immediately into the mid lane. I love that the Twitch is putting this harassment down onto the 𝘁𝗏𝗏 immediately. I know 𝘀𝗀𝗃 actually had some offers from North America just because of his abilities out of the super server where he's been playing out of most of the time. But unfortunately, the English isn't quite there, so nobody was able to bring him in on a fine enough contract to actually entice him to come out. So it's an unfortunate side effect of some of the progress that we're seeing out of some of these fantastic players. Just that NA sometimes doesn't quite have the ability to bring them in when they need it, because talent's got to be there somewhere.
Yeah,
bottom
definitely.
side of the map.
Somewhere. Yeah, somewhere. It's very sad to see, because the player is so talented, but just the language barrier is just too big, and they apparently somehow see a reason because of this not to sign him. That's of course very unfortunate. But here we see again another hook by the 𝘀𝗀𝗃, and 𝘀𝗀𝗃, of course, with the knock up. She's not even burrowed.
Nope. She wasn't burrowed. She actually came out unburrowed onto a minion, which was a bold strategy, Cotton, mostly because of the fact that behind that, Don't Give Me a Ye actually wasn't paying too much attention. I think potentially thought they were safe, and so maybe goaded them into a false sense of security, as the 3rd kill now goes over to the side of the blue team here, as 𝘀𝗀𝗃 going for a bit of an aggressive trade, finding a flash against the Jax who had just pulled it. Yay. Nice little arcane shift. Unfortunately, the Lee Sin's coming in with no health against the opposite side. 𝘀𝗀𝗃's perfectly healthy, able to dodge out on all the skill shots. Our wonderful play-by-play caster doing some significant work on the bottom side, currently also commanding a 9 CS lead. Kind of an impressive start, no gank to be had, and right now 𝘀𝗃 is just kind of running the map across the board with no real response coming out from the red side.
Definitely, and also the sidestep was very clean of the Sonic Wave. He just walked behind, so the range is not enough of the Sonic Wave, so it doesn't get hit there. If that Sonic Wave landed, he might have just gotten one down there by the Lee Sin, so 𝘀𝗀𝗃's definitely shown off his mechanic there, and you just mentioned it. I mean, the CS lead is insane. He's 2 CS ahead against these S3, and this is, of course, a magnificent display of skill on the side of 𝘀𝗋𝗋. We also saw the top lane earlier. I mean, the solo flash force on the Malphite. Malphite into Jax, of course, a very good matchup for the Malphite earlier on, but Jax having to lose the flash there doesn't really speak in his favor so much, because you do lose this matchup, but you shouldn't really lose it that hard.
No, you should not. And in the earlier stages, now that the Bramble Vest is done, makes it so much harder for the Jax to actually try to accomplish anything within the laning phase. And now, especially with like a flash advantage, any sort of roaming coming out from the Malphite, especially around a Rift Herald flip, if we happen to subscribe to the VCS theory of flipping on every single Rift Herald that ever exists within the game, obviously the Malphites can be far more valuable for that setup. And pretty much across the board, winning lanes everywhere. So that's a good place, I think, to find yourself right now if you're on the blue team, just to make sure that that's going to come through. Now, Nashor's Tooth is the rush, it looks like, for the likes of the Twitch, which will be fun to go. That is another hook landed by the Blitzcrank, and a perfect trap positioning by our play-by-play 𝘀𝗋𝗋, going absolutely nutty on the bottom side, is on top side already. Benini finding another gank, making sure that the Malphite is taken well care of. Every side of the map winning everywhere right now. I think top lane we have a little bit more action potentially is maybe a dive was brewing a little bit right there, but it looks as though that might get pulled out. As Nautilus takes another hook. Just goes down for absolutely no response. Twitch as well in the mid lane. Takes a tower shot. The 𝘁𝗋𝗋 ultimate is going to wrap that one up as the response is there.
Definitely the vacuum coming out. This is the first kill. Rip perfect game is what I would say in this situation if I would play on the red side. And mentality comes into play now, because you usually at this point would see the first FF15 votes or FF15 calls in the chat, maybe even in the all chat. Maybe someone would say something like open mate, but you need to think past that, because this is not something that is usually detrimental in solo queue, because usually every team flips at Baron anyway, so you just need to wait until the 20-minute mark and see where you go from there, because it is indeed very suffocating 3k gold lead, but will it really matter in the end? I am very doubtful of that.
Back to the bottom lane. Can 𝘀𝗀 hit something? That is a hook from the Nautilus, finally getting some revenge after all the fantastic Blitz hook. Nice flash Q coming out, and a response flash from 𝘀𝗋𝗋 means they're not going to get anything under the tower. Goes Blitzcrank, who's going to get at least one response kill because of the tower shots coming out. 𝘀𝗀 was able to get a response. He goes under tower. The Ezreal was tanking. Is that enough damage? It is. The 𝘀𝗀 didn't take damage that whole time. Ends up getting executed. So ultimately, the 2-for-1, maybe making it a 2-for-2 is the 𝘁𝗋𝗋, as Ezreal has absolutely no response. Potentially either A, knowing that that was going to happen and just not giving any response in general, or B, simply did not have the motor skills capable of responding to the immediate danger that was the 𝘁𝗋𝗋 in the face. But nonetheless, still a play that ends up even. This 𝘁𝗋𝗋 kind of going off in this top side, and this Blitzcrank with some insane hooks have generated this 2,500 gold lead already for the blue team.
Definitely, and the most insane thing was, of course, the execute from the 𝘀𝗀 coming out there, but you just keep having more action. It's classic solo queue, and you're a dumb dog, but you're still smart enough to get the kill there. So, yeah, you take what you can. And I want to address the item build a little bit, because Nashor's Tooth first is actually standard onto the AP Twitch. You don't want the Riftmaker first, because, the true damage part is not the most important thing for you, or the healing, so to say. You just want a good mix of your AP damage and the attack speed kicking in to even get the stacks going for you onto the poison.
Now, this is a nice little group up between multiple members. The 𝘀𝗀, perhaps the only member with some real strength in the earlier phases, is the Nautilus. Everybody on the bottom side just continues to get bullied by this Blitzcrank, who's hitting pull after pull after pull. You think that maybe the Rocket Fist is actually magnetized to some of these members, given just how easy it has been to do that. Also, to keep up with your AP Twitch lore, it's actually Crown of the Shattered Queen is the most popular second item. It's no longer the Riftmaker as another hit. I mean, it's just heat-seeking at this point. Way too easy for Blitzcrank to just punish again and again. 𝘀𝗀 kind of hit a nice safeguard, only to then stand in place for a few seconds. Nice Q, also going to get enough. Can the damage from the 𝘀𝗀 do enough? 𝘀𝗋𝗋, what are you going to do here? What are you going to accomplish? Can you get something? Blitzcrank is running away. You're putting in the damage. That's going to be at least one member down to half. The 𝘀𝗀 running away. That is 𝘀𝗋𝗋 trying to find it. Ultimate from the brush is going to find a little more damage as 𝘁𝗋𝗋 comes in after taking the dragon. And that's going to be a cleanup of the entire play. Ezreal does his ultimate, but it just doesn't matter. 2 kills to the 𝘀𝗀. Dragon in trade for just the 1 kill onto Blitzcrank. Maybe the 𝘁𝗋𝗋 ultimate secures a little bit more. I was thinking maybe the 𝘀𝗀 would go down. Now the Jax has an opportunity on the top side of the map. We'll see if that's converted. But it seems as though the Seismic Shard just enough to get that move speed away. Not going to worry about that pressure. As across the map, victories on victories, dubs on dubs, stacking here for the blue side.
For sure, and just 𝘀𝗋𝗃 rewarding himself for all the work he did in this laning phase. I mean, his kiting was so insane. He almost moved between auto attacking, and also the ultimate while he's in the middle of two people was absolutely much play of him, because you can just guarantee the damage coming out. 𝘀𝗶𝗹𝗀𝗀 Peacemaker also hitting, and like this, he just gets easy 2 kills for him. He's 6-1 on his Caitlyn in the 11th minute. What an absolute beast performance of the Caitlyn. And
Out of
𝘀𝗋𝗃, I
complete.
just know why you picked this replay, because you probably did very well in this game.
Out of complete fairness, also, Caitlyn, of course, our caster 𝘀𝗋𝗃 usually is duoing with Dan Bongino, but he got picked up by the London Spitfire to play Valorant for them eventually, so that's going to be a problem that his laning partner is now gone. 𝘁𝗃 once again going down, this time to the roam from 𝘀𝗀𝗃, as that the love of the fantastic hooks are coming out and spreading across the map. 𝘁 trying to capitalize on this to some extent. Staying within auto range is the Twitch, but responded to is the 𝘁𝗃, so it does just end up a 2-for-1 situation out of the mid lane, and the attempted conversion on the bottom side does absolutely nothing as well, as 𝘀𝗋𝗃 is poking into the face of his very, very less mechanically inclined counterparts on this bottom side, as he is just flexing the fact that his health bar doesn't need to be high for him to beat them in this situation.
And this time, you're a dumb dog, living absolutely up to his name. Like a dumb dog, he just doesn't want it. Stays in out of range of the Lee. Gives him a shot at the Unofficial. There's another 2v2 in the mid lane. 𝘀𝗀's husband, absolutely unstoppable. And also great name choice, by the way. Definitely showing why 𝘁𝗰𝗶 is his waifu. And here, another double kill, 8-1 on the Caitlyn. And this might just be first turret, because Caitlyn is very strong at pushing these plates down, and there are not many left.
And going for the Kraken Slayer this early into the game means that like the damage on top of the stacking crits as well as the Kraken Slayer procs go absolutely insane. The teleport in for Jax is going to be a little bit of punish. The 90 caliber net enough to maybe stall for a bit of time here as the Lee Sin finds the response kill. 𝘀𝗀𝗃 just gets out of dodge as fast as possible. And onto the trap goes the Lee Sin. He finds a 𝘁𝗶𝗶, get out the seismic shard. It's not going to be enough damage. And the Malphite, I think, might die under the tower in exchange. He does find the Lee Sin as a reward for his teleport at minimum. But ultimately, again, eventually the 2 kills coming back as finally Red Side's able to convert on a decent play.
Rock solid. That's all I need to say. I mean, there's not much more to say. Anyway, nice fight coming up on that, but he didn't hit his ultimate very good there, but it was enough to get the kill onto the turret there. I mean, Malphite is just that much of a balanced champion, and he also has like the 2 parts of the holy trifecta of top lane tanks with the Barmy Cinder and the Bramblebest going. He just needs this play to still get to follow up on this to really ruin Jax's life up there in the top lane, and he's on a good way. And also the Herald Charge coming through the mid lane, this might just be the turret, because you get 2 plates guaranteed, and here he is.
Actually, really fine usage of the Rift Herald right there as 𝘁𝗃 continues to kind of rip away the neutral objective game from the Lee Sin, who has made his way bot lane a number of times, but has yet to really capitalize so far. This young rookie in 𝘀𝗀𝗃 just not able to really live up to what the hype had actually seen. Our first 2 series inside of this has actually been really impressive. This is the first real testament and kind of having struggles here against the veteran that is 𝘁𝗎𝗎, and the combination with him and You're a Dumb Dog, as well as 𝘀𝗋𝗃 just kind of wrecking across the entire bot lane. The 90 caliber net does get the knock up for the 𝘀𝗀𝗃, who finds it. A glacial augment lowers the damage a little bit. Nice pull from the likes of the Nautilus as well, as in the back a little bit of damage comes through. But finally, after the response again and again, the pressure continues to layer on, and finally a little bit of stumbles over the top as right there 𝘀𝗀's husband and VR Mater are able to be brought down finally to the pressure of the Lee Sin, which has been just compounding on the top side. As 𝘁𝗃 comes back to the bottom lane, maybe expecting his bottom lane to be there, because that's just how it's happened for the entirety of the game. But here comes Twitch. We're going to see a nice ultimate, a fantastic W. That's just a cleanup right there. Nothing more to say about that one. Lee Sin's not able to respond. Flash over the wall to get an additional auto. Can he see the Ezreal? He's going to be able to maybe get one more auto attack off. He can't quite get the E, can't quite get the auto attack, and running away from the 𝘁𝗃 as fast as possible, trying to get out of that situation. Is going to go down, does the 𝘁𝗃. They do trade it back and forth. Can Twitch actually just step in and auto-attack him? He can, as the kill actually goes over to 𝘀𝗋𝗃, who finds it with the ultimate from downtown. Incredible stuff to be able to come back from the death. The 6,000 gold advantage continues as a bot lane, a little bit of a goonery in the bottom lane led to a few kills back and forth.
Great job, 𝘀𝗃. You worked so hard for this kill. Absolutely deserved it. And 𝘀𝗀𝗃𝗀 ADC, I mean, he did die in the end, but I have to give him credit for credit is due. I mean, he did a good job of kiting the 𝘁𝗃 there, and also then, when he had the chance, he followed up with an offensive Arcane Shift just to get the kill, and your dumb dog just had to run for the hill there, and didn't manage to take the kill on his own regard. And you earlier addressed the item of the AP Twitch, which will indeed just go for the Zonias instead as a second item. So this Twitch really hates mythic items.
He's horrified of what is the 𝘁𝗃 ultimate, I suppose, just not wanting to have that pressed on him every 60 seconds or so. I wonder if we see the absolute, what is effectively, I'll dub it the ARAM tech for the 𝘁𝗃, which is where you just completely ditch out on the stats of the item and you go for the axiom arc just for the ultimate cooldown reduction. If you snowball the heck out of a lane, especially in ARAMs, it's super effective because you're constantly just interacting and it doesn't matter that much for just the ultimate cooldown. But, in this situation, I don't think it really matters what you're building because everybody's just a little bit of goonery right now, especially this late in the game. Like, it can't possibly hurt that much to just become an ult block as a 𝘁𝗃, if you agree.
Definitely. I mean, I want to see Axiom Arc on Cannons build. I mean, even in like regular games, maybe, because you can actually make at least a little bit of use of the AD you can take from this. And here we see another skirmish. Good 𝘁𝗃, of course, coming out. And like this, another trade going into the favor of 𝘁𝗃's team. He's just so dominant. And here we see maybe another kill.
Oh,
good
there
job,
we go.
𝘁𝗃. You worked so hard for it yet again.
Well done. The communication between the likes of this Twitch and 𝘁𝗃 is just absolutely insane. You see, Twitch had multiple angles to just continue autoing the Nautilus, who had just been pulled in by the Blitzcrank, but actually kited backwards just to make sure he was in better position for the potential fight to defend the Nautilus, and allowed for 𝘁𝗃 to come in with the ultimate and take that kill, so the gold is a little bit more spread. That's some top-level gameplay. That's some Challenger, 7 accounts inside of Challenger on some of the best servers in the world type gameplay between those two. Is into the top side. Jax was able to pull the tower, but not at no cost, as he loses his life as well to the roaming death squad.
Definitely, and the unstoppable force was absolutely needed there. I mean, the kill was not secure at all. And I also like on the side of 𝘁𝗃, we just see it now with the Collector coming in. He just goes for the lethality part of the Collector passive going out, because this is, since he only uses his ultimate ability, it's basically the ideal thing to go for, because he doesn't need to auto-take at all. And yeah, I really like the Collector second pickup for him, because also you get bonus gold when you finish off the kills, and that is all he does.
Well played underneath the tower, although I think that last Dark Harvest proc is going to be enough for the 𝘁𝗃 to actually secure that kill, so it ends up just being the 1-for-1, all things said and done. Waiting across the board, because there's always action to be had across the entire map, is right there. The Nautilus tanks the 90 caliber net. That's going to be the crit shot. Is it enough? With the Collector, 1 auto should be enough to do that, and that it will, as the slowdown of the Ezreal already burnt the Arcane Shift, does not have the flash easy enough. Blitzcrank continues to flex on these kids in the bottom lane, just making the life of 𝘁𝗃 super, super easy to put out this damage. 12 kills, only 18 minutes into the game. Kind of a nutty stat line for the likes of this Caitlyn.
Definitely, and he has as many kills as the enemy team on the whole has. It just shows that he's basically equal to the whole enemy team. I mean, what can you really say? They have 7k gold ahead. They have the 2 Drakes coming up. I don't know if there's like a good soul coming up for them soon. I mean, we just see in the Trimer down below it will be a Cloudstorm, which is of course fortunate for the red side team, since they definitely need to have something they can maybe come back against. And the soul, of course, is not very useful to close out the game much. But as we see it, Blitzcrank, but now just don't miss.
3 auto attacks. Yeah, Just Don't Miss should be his name, or at least the name of his autobiography inside of this game, because it's just been too easy. Nice little coverage by Twitch also, understanding that the Ezreal and the Nautilus were going to redeploy to the lane alongside the 𝘁𝗃, who does find 1 kill at the back end of this. Now Lee Sin comes in, but the teleport from Malphite, again, more coverage actually into this play. Kind of insane the amount of coverage that you have for this bot side play, given that these players don't actually know each other too well. As the Lee Sin dies, flashes in, great kick, but the attempted kick is not going to be enough to actually secure a kill, as the Jax is split pushing on the other side of the map against the 𝘁𝗃, who gets some of this recovery gold, which is a nice little addition to this patch, as you get some gold when you're down a fair amount, and in this case about 8,000 at only 19 minutes. Quick update for you fine folks that are here for the VCS, which is kind of the reason all of us are here right now, as this kill goes over on your screen. This doesn't matter at all. This is just our time filling. We've actually had 2 full timer resets go back to 10 minutes on us, and we're waiting out what is effectively the 3rd one, as VETV tries to figure out whatever solution it is that they need in order to continue the 2nd game of that Team Secret versus Team Flash series. And as soon as that happens, we'll make sure to get back into actual gameplay. We're just kind of, making sure you're not too bored sitting out there with nothing better to do.
Did you just call 𝘁𝗃's solo queue replays not actual gameplay? I think this is very insulting. And yeah,
well, it's not gameplay, because he's effectively just scrimming at this point. I mean, he's flexing so hard. I mean, can you even call this League of Legends?
I'm not too sure, because we just saw the objective bounty coming out from the Jax. Maybe it's just all the plan from the red side team all along, that they just all behind some K gold, that the objective bounties get triggered, and then just have the great comeback story with your Jax on your team, with the Carthus on your team. You have the late game scaling, you also get a lot of gold and experience back if you are that far behind because of all the catch-up mechanics in the game. So like this, I'm a little bit worried for 𝘀𝗋𝗄𝗃's team, actually.
Oh my goodness. And another hook. This Nautilus has just been absorbing hooks the entirety of the game. There's not much there. 𝘀𝑺real on the one-on-one situation, as we see 𝘀𝗀cie kind of get bullied out the back of the pit as the rest of the team is sieging up on the mid tower. You see the 𝘁𝗃 and the 𝘁𝗀 collapse, though, just making sure that that's going to be the case. 𝘁𝑐e is here for the 𝘀𝑺real, but they could track this down relatively easily. Flash over the wall from 𝘁𝗃 is going to find it. 𝘀𝑺real's got absolutely no chance in that one-on-one situation. 𝘁𝑐e actually turns and goes for the dragon. Really creative play in that particular instance, as the 𝘁𝗃 actually has a chance to get brought down as a nice kind of ward hop, but a fantastic set of CC coming out from the 𝘁𝗀 is going to deny that. Somehow also on the way in, Carthus just got absolutely obliterated by what looks like 𝘁𝗀 finding that poor Carthus, who's just been suffering for the majority of the game in that particular instance. Was that an ultimate from the Malphite to stack that blue buff?
I think it was. I mean, it was
for the blue buff.
It was successful. I mean, he got the blue buff, so can you really fault him? I mean, without it's not that matter, right? And he just only burned a 90-second cooldown on it. And I mean, he has the blue buff now. He already got some ability haste. I think Sunfire has some. Does Sunfire have ability haste? Probably. I mean, every item. I mean, every item is ability haste. Let's be honest.
It really does. Yes.
Yeah.
Have you ever clicked on Kindle Gem in the store before and like had to scroll multiple pages of items just to see all the things that Kindle Gem builds into? It's kind of ridiculous the amount of ability haste that exists.
Yeah, I mean, you can get up to like 200, I think. So
this is important. I need to ask you: will we finish this game before 𝘁𝗃 finishes a mythic? Because he just built a full Rabadons. That was all of his gold. This is incredible. Look at a non-mythic 𝘁𝗃 game.
I don't think he will build a mythic. So
I
don't think he even plans to build one.
He doesn't need one, apparently, because he is just absolutely flexing on everybody. Look at that. As soon as he turns invisible, pops out. If nobody's there to burst him immediately, especially the 𝘁𝑐e, who really has all the problematic damage for the likes of the 𝘁𝗃, I mean, there's just no response. They're going to siege up on the mid tower as the Malphite is kind of split pushing in the side lane, pushing up the top as fast as they can. 𝘁𝗀, our fine play-by-play caster, 𝘀𝗋𝗄𝗃's going to try to put some auto attacks onto the tower. The 𝘁𝗃's poison, especially when AP combined with that Contaminate, is actually quite an effective, kind of wave eliminator for the most part. Jax tried to counter-strike to block that for the 𝘁𝑐e, decided that the damage would be better put on him since he has to back anyway, so he's going to stand in safeguard of the tower. The Carthus is also half health. This is kind of a precarious situation to be in, although everybody is coming back. The 𝘀𝑺real is back as well. 𝘁𝗀 fishing for some hooks, misses probably what is the first one in the entire game as 𝘀𝗋𝗄𝗃 chunks out the 𝘀𝑺real, can't find anything on the other side. Jax goes in with the counter-strike and the leaping strike, the flash as well, just to make sure that that's going to go down. That ultimate damage from the likes of the 𝘁𝗃 is going to find quite a bit as 𝘀𝗀cie on the opposite side of the fight is going to go into the base, going to be able to find one, going to look for a second here onto the likes of the 𝘀𝑺real, is going to be able to find the knockup and will find a second kill as the Carthus was able to bring down 𝘁𝗃 in the meantime. The Nautilus looking for another, but an ultimate from the Malphite is going to be enough to clean up the remainder of the fight. It's a 5-for-1, all things said and done. The entire team brought down on the red side in exchange for just the one member on the blue side. 𝘁𝗃 going down. They're perfectly fine with that because they still have this 𝘁𝗃. We're not sure what the Malphite's TPing for. I'm assuming it's a surrender vote that's going to be coming through any second now.
Nope.
Nah, I think he just wants to have some fun. I mean, you could maybe TP right now, so you actually have some use of it to just get some more turret tanking for the minion wave, so the Nexus turret doesn't really finish off the wave. And like this, they maybe not finish the game. And actually, this is the point where 𝘀𝗋𝗄𝗃 is a little bit triggered. And probably falls to the damage of Carthus.
Yeah, 𝘀𝗋𝗄𝗃 trying to pad the stats so that he gets recruited by TSM here as the fight continues to come through.
Yeah, you asked me a question earlier about the 𝘁𝗃 mythic item choice, and it will just be Void Stuff next, and likely I think the last item must be the Mages or the Rage Blade, so there won't be a mythic item for him anyway. You just need a 7th item on the 8th item slot. But speaking of the fight here, 𝘀𝗋𝗄𝗃's doing some nice damage. 𝘀𝗋𝗄𝗃 likes playing cops.
Absolutely. Kind of incredible. Continuing to taunt in the mid lane also is 𝘀𝗋𝗄𝗃, which is kind of it's a nice little strategy after having flexed in the laning phase alongside this 𝘁𝗀 for so much of the course of this game. Absolutely has earned some taunting time. Although it appears as though there's a split call. The 𝘀𝗀cie is currently tanking the Baron buff for the damage of the 𝘁𝗃, who, again, with the Nasters does some consistent damage, but without the full ADC build really isn't enough. As you can see, the reinforcements on the way. Malphite might have to looks like ulted the wall just to get over there, just to make sure that he can tank for the likes of the Rek'Sai. The Ezreal ultimate also completely on the opposite side of the map, as it is the Jax who's looking for a little bit of something. Ezreal's going to get on top, and they will find the shutdown on the Carrick. Oh. And Blitzcrank. That's it. 2 shoved up in the mid lane. They're able to find that response kill as the Baron did go down over to the side of the blue team as 𝘀𝑠che is back into the face of the Lee Sin and the Ezreal. Bold play out of the mid lane here. He's going to be able to find 2. The Zhonya's is going to get him out of danger as well. Those minions are messing up that Nautilus too. Just 3 kills found for the 𝘀𝑠che. You don't need a mythic, as that is all that is necessary. Some AP and some quick moves by the likes of the 𝘀𝑠che to be able to capitalize on everything.
Definitely, and maybe you don't need a mythic. Should be his next summoner in-game name. I mean, it would definitely be fitting for him. You can also just go one-trick pony 𝘁𝗃 and just go the same item build anyway, and it won't really make a difference. Like this, of course. Baron buff going over to 𝘁𝗏𝗃's team. 𝘁𝗏𝗃 himself gave over a 1,000 gold charter to the enemy team, so it's remotely fair for the enemy team to have a chance at playing this game out. I mean, League of Legends is a game, right? It's not a fight. It's not a war. You want both sides to have fun, let's be honest. So, of course, that's why you give over the shutdown there. Really great play coming out by 𝘁𝗏𝗃. And now we see the 3v4 engaged play.
Oh! The 𝘁𝑠che on the side actually didn't get too much damage on the upfront part, but as soon as the Malphite ultimate comes in, helps out a little bit. The poison stack's probably not going to be enough to bring down the Lee Sin, but the rest of the Malphite damage absolutely will be, as it has been, I think so far, a 2 for 2, but this will be a 2 for 3, as the taunting perhaps a little bit unjustified in that situation, as the 𝘁𝑠che wasn't able to stay safe enough to be able to continue to deliver auto attacks through that fight, as it is just the Blitzcrank alongside 𝘁𝗏𝗃 here, trying to put out the damage. Counter-Strike's going to deny the first half of that little bit, now has to run away. Nice block of the Q coming out. The E, unfortunately, he's going to be able to get the Ezreal in position, but that's going to cost the Ezreal his life right there. The Jax not able to get on top of 𝘁𝗏𝗃's either. The trap is going to be enough, and the Jax wins. That's unfortunate. 𝘁𝗏𝗃's, you had me almost hyped up right there, but unfortunately going to lose that one-on-one situation against the likes of the Jax. The Counter-Strike just too strong, as that is our play-by-play caster, unable to make the massive outplay against the entire team that was the red side.
Active. Jax enters evasion, a defensive stance, for 2 seconds, causing all non-turret basic attacks against him to be dodged. Jax also takes 25% reduced damage from all champion area of effect abilities. Counter-Strike can be recast after 1 second.
We need that as a full copy, Pasta. I don't know how that is. Okay, Objective Bounty 2, or a couple of Objective Bounties have been played. You say 1 second?
Yeah, I mean, I have the copy pasta ready for the chat.
Okay, that's fantastic. Is it possible at all, 𝘁𝗏𝗃's, who is also, by the way, doing our wonderful observing, arguably doing close to the job that we've seen from some of the VETV streams, so, hire him?
I'm leaving Auto Observer on. That's better.
Yes. Is it possible that you can scroll over First Strike for the Ezreal? I kind of want to see what kind of gold he has. I don't know if it shows that or not, but...
VTV, please. I mean, the observer.
It just says what it does.
That's unfortunate, yeah. Okay, well... We tried. the First Strike rune has to have had the least use of any rune I've ever seen. Is that 910? That's actually a surprising amount that he's been able to grab.
The damage was 910.
Yeah, that's not bad. I was expecting much lower number than 700. Okay, props to Ezra. I know this is also the champion that's been abusing the rune in the bottom lane more than any other ADC, but still, props to him for being able to get about 1,000 gold in reprieve for everything that has come about. Jax on a fantastic, but a Malphite ultimate is going to shut that down real quick, and that's all that's going to be necessary here, I think. 5 members now up for the side of the blue team. They still have both of their marksmen available and ready and raring to go. Min inhibitor is going to fall. No damage has really gone down. The Karthus ultimate could mean something, especially now on 3 items. Going to do a lot of damage, and the ultimate on a 𝘁𝗏𝗃's was really good from the Nautilus as well to disrupt quite a bit. The Glacial Augment was enough to lower some of the damage. Lee Sin gets pulled into the remainder of the team. Can't quite get the damage off. The Dragon Kick comes through. Maybe there's some semblance of a fight back, as Ezreal's going to try to put in the damage, but this looks like a bad situation. Rek'Sai is going to go in. That's the Ezreal going down. No ultimate on this Karthus. Going to get knocked out. Going to go down as well. And that finally will be the game. 29.5 minutes, 77 kills. And that is what it takes for us to finish things out here, as 𝘁𝗏𝗃's in the blue side end up taking this game.
Absolutely deservedly. And also 19 kills on 𝘁𝗏𝗃's, 19 kills on the Space Glade 𝘁𝗏𝗃, who still has not built a mythic item. But we said it before, we just said countless times, he doesn't really need it when you can finish the game cleanly as that. That's also just shows how high the quality has risen into the likes of, I think, Oceana Silver solo queue it is. I'm not quite sure. I think it is. I mean, maybe someone from the production can tell me.
Yeah.
Either way, great game. And I don't see much difference either on the production level or the level of play from this to the actual VCS games.
Yeah, there were actually moments where their macro might have actually been a slightly better improvement over top of the VCS games that we've seen sometimes over the course of our careers here. The observing was definitely better. The observing, we barely missed any kills, despite the fact that there were literally like 3 per minute, and somehow we were still catching more kills. So impressive stuff all around. Production team. We're going to step out, I think, once again for a break as we are out of League of Legends VODs. But thank you for joining us, and we'll be back soon.
See you soon.
just start. There. Oh, I need to
Start?
turn down my volume.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi.
Oh, okay. All right.
𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀.
You guys, I'm gonna press play now.
Yeah, press play, please.
Welcome in, everybody. We're back with yet another version of Oceanic Silver Solo Queue,
Pain.
i.e., teams that are already better than what we had on stream. Welcome, Mr. Spoods, our lovely
Hi.
producer, to the cast. How you doing?
I want to die.
That's all right. That is allowed to be said on a Twitch stream, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, if they take down our Twitch stream, right, then I don't have to produce for the rest of today. I don't wait for this pause. So it's a win-win
is
either way,
true.
as far as
I
I'm
suppose.
concerned.
Reasonable.
Yes.
Now, this game, once again, it features our wonderful play-by-play 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀𝘀, who is currently sitting in the jungle position as 𝘀𝗀. Once again, a cop.
A cop.
Unsurprisingly.
Yeah, he likes cops.
Yes. Something bootlicker. But in the mid lane, 𝘀𝗀 is running press the attack. I've been told to draw attention to that just as fast as I possibly can, because apparently it is a point of contention in this game.
What do you mean? I've seen absolutely nothing wrong. Oh, there's a new copy pasta in chat. Hang on, let me deal with this.
Why don't you read that out loud for all of us to hear?
Honestly, I think you guys are giving me too much of a hard time. I'm the network engineer at VTV. I've had Taco Bell last night, and I've been sucked, ladies and gentlemen, 𝘀𝑠𝑢𝑐K suck on the toilet for the last hour. Please send help.
Oh, we love Twitch chat.
I
Thank
love
you,
Twitch.
fine folks, for being here.
We don't
if
know, just
anybody's
read the
from-
screen. Okay, yes, sorry, you're up. Go ahead.
If anyone here is from North America and you're awake at 5:29 in the morning or somewhere in that potential area, give me a shout in the chat, just because I know I'm not suffering here on my own. Is that wait, where's this? Oh, okay. I was confused there for a second because I was like, there's no rise on the blue team, but he was just proxying that brush, using the first strike, literally auto attacking this 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀 down to 0 health at level 1. Okay.
Normal OCE gameplay.
Normal OCE
Okay, now I
gameplay.
will
You think he's actually leveled in ability?
Maybe. Might have leveled his auto attack. I don't know. He's level 2 now, so let's see what he can do.
He leveled his auto
Yeah.
attack. Okay, there's a spell.
Yeah,
So he did
there's one.
cast a spell. That's good. All right. Again, the first strike ruling is going to waste because he keeps auto trading.
Right.
As in the mid lane, we again get the 𝘀𝗀 press the attack interaction against the likes of the 𝘁𝗀𝗀, which I'm sure will be very fun in the future.
I'm not gonna
Ooh.
lie. I'm still four patches in the past, so I have absolutely no idea what's
4
going on.
patches.
Yeah, I'm just living in the past. Leave me here. It's peaceful.
That's fair. Yeah, that's reasonable, I suppose. More depression coming out of our lovely producer. We love to hear that. We all love Spoods. Give Spoods some hype in the chat just so he knows that he's well appreciated.
No chat. We don't have any updates.
Real degen hours. Thank you.
It is.
Nice.
We've also been told, right, that this game is 40 minutes long. So that's
Someone's
why
in Chicago. Yeah, we have no interest in this game, legitimately.
And like
we're just kind of here as passerbys.
Yeah, like the 20-minute mark, like we'll sub in 𝘀𝗀𝗰𝗀𝗀𝗀 or something. That's fine.
Yeah. We'll just sub in one new caster every 5 minutes until we run out of casters. We're gonna wake up 𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, take them
Let's
to
go.
work.
Nearsighted.
Okay.
Press the attack. 𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 might be going down. Ignite. 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀.
Oh,
One last
nope.
auto. There it is. The
Oh, there it
first
is.
blood from the graves. Get me out.
𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 able to find something in the top lane. Is 𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 with a response gank up towards this rise. Unfortunately, has to leave, and the red buff just fell off, so even an auto attack wouldn't have done much to assist in that case. So it is just the double flash and the ignite in the mid lane in exchange for the mid laner sums and the kill, of course, as the 𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀 in the pocket of Graves. Once again, another reason to wake up 𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 is we can flex on him with a little bit of Graves dominance inside of OCE solo queue.
Oh, talking about 𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, there is a Graves coming down the bot lane. I'm sure he likes to see this, as I think I am aware that he's a support main, so this is his favorite scenario. They're going in. They don't know 𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 left. The Graves is here. Flash goes out from the Lucian. Rooted down is the 𝘁𝗀𝗀. And it's going to be another flash auto attack to secure the kill. That's 2 kills going over the red team so far. Tanking up some turret shots, but they're gonna get out alive.
Extremely extremely good stuff coming out of the red team, as it's 2 ganks now for a Graves in the first 5 minutes of the game somehow, and able to make everything work. Everything works all fine and dandy as that Graves finds some nice kills everywhere on the map. As somehow the Lucian goes down. I do understand the press the attacks back to some extent, but not really much else. I like that at minimum, 𝘀X's gank in the top side did help set that top lane into a very good position, where now all of a sudden this 𝘁, level 5, doesn't really have much missing health, has plenty of attack speed with a double dagger, is going to be in a position to maybe find aggression against the Rise at some point. That level 6, when this champion becomes an actual champion and not just a caster minion with some additional items, is a good place to be.
I want you to explain press the attack Vex to me, because you say you understand it to some extent. I'm trying to wonder if you're saying that in the same vein that, you know, my stream currently says coming up soon, but I've absolutely no idea when we're going live.
So I like to think that the auto attack first can come out of Vex, and then as a dash comes in, likely out of the W from 𝘂𝗀, another auto attack comes in, right? Because he's got to disrupt the dash. And at that point, you're at 2 auto attacks. So it's just like, all right, I just got to do 1 more auto attack, and then I get 12% damage, I get some flat damage, and I get to use some additional burst. And I'm guessing that's the thought process here for the Vex, who took this, press the attack, trying to abuse the range versus melee matchup. And so far, it hasn't worked too heavily, but also hasn't gone too awry yet. So that's quite nice. Is in the top lane, we get some action. The 𝘁 hits level 6 before the Rise.
Poggers. You know what my thought process is? I mean, you know what I think the thought process is? I think he forgot to change the rune. Oh my god, top tier analysis. Oh, someone dies. Okay.
Yep, Rise goes down. That's a Lucian stuck in place. Can the Graves capitalize? Doesn't look like it. No. This
Lucian? Okay. 𝗀𝘀cie cosplay? 𝗀𝘀cie cosplay? No? Okay. Thank you, directed camera. We're back to mid lane. Press the attack. Where is it? Oh, it's...
Hey.
Okay.
Look at that. You know what? Without press the attack, maybe you lose that, right? That's a dub. We consider that a dub. And that's not a dub. That's bottom side. A Lux pulls a kill with that comment. Unfortunate situation. Back to top side, our wonderful caster 𝘀X is ganking. I would like for our observer to please go elsewhere on the map. Thank you.
Stop resisting.
And never mind, you've missed 2 kills. Our play-by-play was too busy taking the camera away from that bottom side, trying to save his Zyra some zooming in on the nice little cop skin here. Yo, get that crab.
Stop resisting.
Stop resisting.
Meanwhile, someone else is getting dragged.
That is correct. The entire bottom side is basically the property of red team here.
Oh my god, VETV observer cosplay. Let's go. It's my favorite part.
yo, you gotta move your mouse just a little bit up so it's slightly towards the top.
Yes, okay, 𝘀X is going mid. That's a fleeing 𝘂𝗀. He goes invisible and he will get out. Top tier gank from 𝘀X. Thanks for the subscription, 𝑬𝑋_Kansas. We love you.
Anyone who subscribes gets a personalized message from me and 𝘀𝗶𝗹𝗀 for the next 5 minutes.
Limited time offer, yes.
Yeah, the time offer is 5 minutes.
What are we talking about now?
We're talking about this League of Legends game in front of us, which is currently a 6-1 lead. I mean, yeah. If I were of any better cognitive state, I would be joining you, but unfortunately, I can't think about anything right now.
It's okay, so. I'm tilted enough for the both of us. Now, Graves in mid lane. This Vex get nearsighted. Where's your press the attack now, my friend?
Yo.
He's taking a little low, but this 𝘂𝗀 is going even low. I think that's a heal or something.
Heal?
I saw a green thing, okay. And the Vex says heal. Okay, whatever. He dies.
There we go. I see the Nashor's Tooth is the selection of item here for the likes of the Vex. We're starting to come full circle on this press the attack rune, right? You're getting some attack speed in there, getting some ability power in there. Maybe get something. Q a little bit short, unfortunately, for 𝘀X, so not going to be able to track down that 𝘂𝗀. Currently, also, I just want to point out that if 𝘀X was stuck, piss smurfing in Astro low at any point, he's currently the most CS on his team, or 1 short of 1 CS below his Lucian, unfortunately, and has no deaths, which makes him unironically the best player on the team, verifiable through statistics of 57 jungle farm versus 60 normal in lane farm.
Stop the count.
Thank you, shitposting. There's no shitposting.
You're welcome. He's going for a dive in bot lane, though, so he actually might be either increasing his KDA or when he's gonna walk away. Okay, whatever.
You're not farming. You gotta farm. You gotta keep up with the rest of your team.
Graves is having a great time.
He's doing the Graves thing of taking camps on the other side of the map.
Okay,
What
curtain's
is-
called.
I just want to
Where is
defend
this
myself
going?
and point out I was auto-filled.
Oh, okay.
Ah,
That's not allowed. You're not allowed to defend yourself. Go back to muting.
imagine not dodging when you're auto-filled.
Imagine not playing Elise when you're autofill. It's like easiest win in the world, and you decide to pick Vi.
Lee Sin.
No,
You
Elise.
auto-filled. Oh, Elise.
How does
That's true,
Elise Sin?
that's true.
Lee Sin is a trash
Elise Sin?
champion. You're not
Elise
fighting
Sin?
me this time. No,
Lee Sin.
no, bad ship. 𝗀𝗶𝗹𝗀𝗀, Vex gotta die. 𝗀𝗶𝗀𝗀,
Can
what's
we
your best
auto?
attack? Why did he walk back into the I mean he survives, whatever.
Why did he walk back in? Why was he not orb walking and watering?
Oh, here we go.
Well,
Okay.
position. Lower.
Oh, free
there it is.
kill! Free kill! Shut down!
Absolutely flexed. Can he-
Flashed away from. Oh my god, top tier Chinese server strategies coming in from the graves. Not gonna be enough. Oh,
No
red buff! Red buff!
way.
Oh, he survives just by the skin of his teeth.
Absolutely incredible stuff from both of them. I do believe there was a player named Emperor who played in, I think
Europe.
it was Korea and maybe China, and I think in Europe also.
He was on
I
G2.
think Europe was the main place we knew him from. Yeah, he was on G2. This is that Emperor, believe it or not. So 𝘀cie out
Oh.
here flexing on X Pros. That's quite nice.
Poggers.
Ah,
Free kill. Alright.
free kill.
Okay. So,
Mhm.
who do you think wins this game? Keep in mind this game goes to 40 something minutes,
I'm
and
gonna
there is
guess.
a KO
I'm
on
gonna
the
guess
blue team.
blue team. I'm gonna guess that 𝘀cie would not have given it to us if he
That's
did not
true.
do well and win this game.
That is
So I'm
true.
going to assume that that is a win.
Okay.
Um,
Cool. Do you want to
He
predict
took away
who
our
the MVP
timeline, so
is?
I can't cheat and look at that either.
Yeah, true. Can't cheat. Sag. Who do you think is the MVP?
Sag.
Oh,
Who's
never
the
mind.
MVP?
Okay.
I'm going Vex.
Oh, Vex, okay. Oh, 𝘀𝗀𝗀. And he's out of there. Woo, fun champion.
Fun shit. At least it's not the Zonius thing from back in the day when you could just press Zonius and warp out, and it became the most miserable patch in all of League. That's not true. One of the more miserable patches for side laners, just because Ryze could literally do anything he wanted. Oh,
Did you play League during the Juggernaut era at all?
I did. I was there in 2015. I was there at the very start of that Juggernaut era. It was
Yes, 'cause
also a
made me
miserable
very
time.
Miserable, yes.
There was also the no ADC time period, which was like, what was that, 2018, something like
Yeah,
that, where
awesome
just
dudes, bot lane.
ADCs didn't exist.
My favorite. Ooh, Lucian.
There's the
Zetsu cosplay?
Enchanter, Ardent Sensor.
Wait, the Lux just flashed forward
Oh, this
into
is
the
bad.
laser.
I don't
oh,
like
they
this.
both die here, don't they?
This
Oh
I don't
no.
like.
What?
Oh, the heal!
What?
Jets cosplay, Jets cosplay.
Oh no. Alright, hold the phone.
What a play.
Hold the phone, Rebel. We got another copy pasta. The engineer
Did
says,
we?
"Hello, chat. Engineer here again. Please don't judge me for my absence and spelling errors too harshly. I need to finish this podcast before I can."
Finish the bathroom.
What-
Oh,
Real question is then, what podcast are you listening to?
I don't know. I do want to point out we do have casters on screen. This means absolutely nothing in terms of the VCS. This could mean basically nothing. So we're going to keep this up until the last possible second
𝘀cie.
on a solid gang. What did 𝘀cie say?
Oh, double kill now. I'm wondering if 𝘀cie's here in case they go in the game.
Yeah, it might be worthwhile to. I mean,
Oh, he's
worst case
back.
scenario, if he's still making food. If he's back,
He
that's
sat
great
down.
because
Yeah,
we're
poggers. Hi, 𝘀cie.
okay. As long as hello, 𝘀cie. Say something fun in German in the chat. Although you're not allowed because it's an English broadcast stream, so somebody will hit you with exclamation point English if you do that.
I mean, he can try.
That's a case. I'm just waiting because we're just stalling for time. That's kind of what this entire endeavor has been about. But it looks like we're on the verge
I've
of
got some
getting
info.
to come in.
I've got some
I
info
would like some info.
about VCS.
Yes.
Apparently, Game 2 is getting remade.
Oh,
Fully,
no.
apparently, even though Team Secret was up like 6,000 gold.
This game is over. Goodbye. I'm
Incredible.
out. See ya. We're ending the
Okay, great.
broadcast here, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hang on. We don't know that for sure. It's an evolving situation.
Okay. I would purport
No,
that
it's
a
evolving.
devolving
Piss me off. Right
situation.
now. That's what it's doing. What is happening
Zetsu
everywhere?
cosplay?
Zetsu cosplay. Zetsu cosplay.
Oh, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do it? Oh, no, he doesn't. The
No,
vehicle.
he's bad.
And now the Vex is there.
Yeah, there it is. Well played.
Your mic
Easy-
was so
easy
hyped, I
stuff.
have no idea what you were saying in the past 10 seconds.
I was saying Jetsu cosplay over and over again. Jetsu cosplay. As soon as the Viego takes the Lucian, now it's another Jetsu cosplay.
Yeah, exactly.
Although we can't say that anymore because Jetsu lost his Lucian game because it's getting remade. If it gets remade, allegedly. If it allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah, that's my favorite. That's my word of the year.
Allegedly.
I just want to say that I have my predictions, right, which is Team Secret 2-1ing Team Flash. So if this gets remade and Flash wins, I'll be a very happy man. 𝘀𝗧 is gonna be all the rage. I'm gonna have to moderate that, but I'm gonna be very happy for my own predictions.
I'm very, very excited that the tracked predictions of our Discord server mean that much to you, Mr. Spoods. That's a dedication to the craft that not everyone
I just
can
want to
share.
beat 𝘀𝗀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀.
Oh, this game has a Hex Tech Rift. I think this is the first one I've ever seen.
Oh, I've played a few. It's kind of cursed.
Yeah, that's fair. Inting.
Inting.
𝘀𝗀. Inting.
Poggers. 𝘀𝗀𝗃.
Inting.
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 Polite cosplay. Polite.
No.
All right, back and forth. We have the
Nice
pressy
job.
attack.
Oh,
but
the
it's gone. No. Dang, man.
The fade
That might
away
be
from
Faker
the
on one of
rise.
his Smurf accounts, actually.
Yeah, it might.
He might be.
Playing
Yeah.
on OCE.
I don't know. I'd need to play against him. Yeah, play on the OCE in silver. He's just Smurfing in silver OCE.
Why not?
He got 4 kills.
You what? You don't Smurf in silver OCE? Like you're missing out, dude.
No.
I know, like your top.
I think I've got a level 2
in...
account.
Oh.
I got a level 2 account on OCE because we did a scouting combine there, and that was it. I don't even remember what the account is called. Unfortunately,
It's
otherwise
time to put it to work.
Time to put it to work.
Oh,
It's level 2.
Jetsu cosplay. Let's go. The culling.
Nice.
You didn't miss 2 shots that time, and that's why the Lux died.
Nickel Ball Doggy. That's the name of that Lux. Why did I miss that? That's a good name. I like Frothy Milkshake too. It's a good one too.
I'm just gonna like not regard it at all because this
Not
is
gonna
gonna send
regard the
me
bot
down
lane
a bit of a rant. Pepe laugh.
That's reasonable. Okay, what do we have here? Okay, now we're going into some goonery if we weren't already there with this Gwen. I was told to keep an observation on this build, right?
Okay.
And we're going into that's Leeching Leer, which then builds into the Riftmaker after the Gnasher's Tooth, which is kind of insane. So that's not an item you build on Vex very often. So this Vex knows what she's about.
You know what I think this is.
Zap.
Oh, Zap. Okay. Oh, last shot. The Jetsu cosplay would be a Lucian doing well, and the what's it called, the Jin inting. So it's like the opposite of Jetsu cosplay.
Jinting.
Jinjiao? Jinjiao?
Jinjiao? What the fuck? Jinjiao?
God. Right, as I was saying, this is like, I think, my what I feel this Vex is thinking about is that, he's living in 2017 when hybrid Jax was a thing, and instead of picking Jax, right, he picked Vex by accident because they sound the same, right? So his friend was like, try hybrid Jax. So like, alright, I'll pick hybrid Vex. And that's exactly what's happening right now.
Not a horrid theory. There are worse theories that have been about. I think we're getting into draft for game number 2. So please cut this so we can go into the draft that's about to happen. As it looks as though we are restarting game number 2 between Team Secret and Team Flash.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to throw up some music and whatever happens, happens. Alright?
No, don't throw up music. We're about to go into draft.
Oh, we have to do a draft? Okay, y'all can take it away then. I don't want to deal with this anymore. Who's taking draft? Is it analyst desk? Whatever, y'all can settle it.
Analyst desk.
Have a great
just throw
time.
everybody in.
Yeah, we'll just throw everybody in. Let's go.
Nice.
I'm not even sure which members of our analyst desk are here. Jensen, are you back?
I'm here.
All right, let's get focused back up. We've had some tech pauses. We've had some silliness. Just to explain to everyone, there was apparently a major network issue on the tournament realm. I know we were memeing on VATV. It does appear that's really not their fault, so that's a bit unjustified. The tournament realm is apparent. Look, I'm just going off what we've been told.
That's fair.
The tournament realm is apparently broken, so they have had to remake the game. There was no possibility of a chrono break or anything like that. Please don't blame us. We don't make the decisions. We just have to roll with the punches. We are restarting game 2 between Team Secret and Team Flash. The score is currently 1-0 in Team Secret's favor. let's get back into it. And Jensen, you had a lot of bad things to say about Flash's draft, and they've got a chance to redeem themselves.
You know, the pause is so long, I don't even recall the draft.
Neither do I.
That's reasonable.
Okay, there was a Lucian, there was a Yuumi, and then there was like a Nidalee as well, right? It was something we were looking at.
Yeah, there's
Perhaps a Lucian solo lane with an Nidalee. That was set up where you're playing for the early game to invade and stuff, and then they ended up with Lucian, the bot lane with the Yuumi, and then I don't know what's going on anymore at this point of time. So yeah, draft is on the way though. I think it's the first pick of Fails. Instead, Jinx is still available, and they're just slamming the Lulu as a blind pick here. I think this is something that people have been talking about more and more, especially fans of the Enchanters who believe that you always can blind pick these champions. You'll be happy to see this, but I do think that the likes of a Xin Zhao is a little bit annoying to deal with as well, especially with the amount of gank pressure they can put on your lane if they can force us in the Smash Jungle parting scenario in the early game.
This is
Rebel, what are you thinking so far?
I like that last game. Perhaps the one part of the map was doing fine was 𝘀cie on the Lucian. In this game, they're just like, nah, just take it off immediately. They say, we're not dealing with any of that. And they just go for the first pick of 𝘂𝗎𝗄s with the Lulu. And now they're playing Jhin into it. I'm sure that's going to go over fine. At least we do have more interaction from Dante. Like last game, the Nidalee wasn't having that fantastic of a performance to start with. So now with the Xin Zhao, maybe there's a little bit more to work with in that department, which would be quite nice. Just because their top side was kind of getting completely bullied in the last game. Their only saving grace was that Lucian on the bottom side, but now, especially since Marcus has already played in a Jax matchup earlier on today, so maybe that's a little bit of comfort for the likes of Marcus if they put him back into the top lane.
Sorry, I just want to check really quickly, right? Because if there's a redraft, it usually implies that there might have been a change in patch, or was
No,
it
because
patch?
so it should be the same patch because they were playing on 11.23 on the tournament realm, and 11.23 is also the live patch. So I don't see how it would have changed. I do think it's really weird that they're doing a redraft. You would have thought you just lock the same compositions, but
Yeah.
yes, maybe they think that it's unfair because you've seen how they want to play the early game. I honestly don't know. I wish we could sort of figure it out, but yeah. They are redrafting. That's a 𝘁𝗁 support coming in for 𝘁𝗏𝗏𝗏.
I think that's one of the good answers in the Lulu, right? There's a few approaches you can do against it. As long as you're not picking Braum against the Lulu, I think that most of the options are actually pretty good into it, right? It's just a question of how does this interact with what the rest of the team wants to do. If they went for the Xin Zhao earlier, I thought that's something that can go in there and pick off and then create gank scenarios at the bottom lane would be good. But considering that there's an Aphelios and a Gwen on the opponent side of the map already, going into what Team Secret has is not necessarily the best idea. So you're going for an Enchanter, and then the rest of the composition now has to play at range as compared to what Team Secret has. So I'm a little bit surprised they didn't ban out the specific, because as a specific gives Team Secret a way to engage as or play at range as well with the rapid fire cannon. But we should be seeing some of artillery champion here, and just as I said that they Team Flash in classic fashion, you know. The rest then, the entire rest of the composition is we are going to play the kite. What do we pick as the last pick? The champion that wants to go in. Great job, guys.
It's very strange. I was kind of hoping that the Vex would come through while the Twisted Fate does quite a bit. That 𝘁𝗁 shielding is rough to kind of get around for the majority of the game, and so I can't remember the item. Like Feral Flare. It's not Feral Flare. Demon Flare, something like that. The one that spreads through shield for the mage item. Shadow Flame, that's what it is. You don't really build that on Twisted Fate. I guess you could build it on what the most interesting part of this draft adaptation is, which is the Gwen jungle coming out of DNK. That came out of what seems like left field, because I know this champion was actually a rather good jungler back when she kind of, or her first inception, the first round of balance patches had come out, but ever since the nerf to her E, it feels like nobody was playing the champion, let alone the jungle. But here, I mean, DNK saw the Xin Zhao from a very long distance away, took it as maybe a way of goading out a little bit of the solo lane kind of strategy here, and now DNK feels the need to play this one, which is kind of interesting because, again, in this composition, it feels like the Gwen is really good at team fighting, but doesn't quite match the range that like the Twisted Fate, the Aphelios, and the Jace are really operating at. So I think it's just intriguing how DNK plans to try to play out team fights and such.
So on the side of Team Flash, though, the way that they have to win this game, although I said they could have gone for an Oriana, gone for some form of scaling team fighting, Drake stacking kind of strategy, I think that if they go for a double melee setup in the solo lanes, they have to be very good at playing on 2 lanes. So it has to be important that whoever is up against the Jace gets a hit and they're able to win on the side and against Jace. And then making sure that they manage the mid game accordingly, once again connecting the support and jungler. Together the Sinzal, I think Enchanter's actually a pretty decent kill squad when they walk into the opponent jungle as a jungle support pair. But it really depends on what they are, how they execute this. And from what I've seen in the first game, I don't really think Team Flash is that capable of executing this style. They probably end up playing a 1-3-1 slowly farm and then get picked off by the twist of it one by one. So once again, I have to say that my prediction of the draft has to be in the favor of Team Secret.
Well, we are going to head on to the Rift. Thank you, analysts, my long suffering desk. You are amazing. Thank you for helping us get through that pause as well. But we are heading into game. I will bring back 𝘀cie, who I have some problems with after you flamed my Caitlyn. I didn't have to move between the auto attacks. I was in range of both of them. As we get on to the
it was
Rift.
good. Yeah. Anyway, here we are again. Luckily, no Caitlyn pick from either of these because I cannot keep talking about it when they do the auto spacing or don't do it. I don't know. Either way, we have a new draft and we also have a Gwen jungle, and that's an interesting pick for me because Gwen, has been nerfed, has not been as good in the jungle, and
Very
just
weird.
now got moved into there. I mean, the reason is they don't want to have Gwen into Jax, and they wanted to dodge that matchup to have a good matchup there. So they picked the Jace and flexed the Gwen to jungle afterwards. And I don't know why DNK's Ghost is out.
It's happening again.
Why does DNK?
Why is
Like, for
DNK
real.
already used Ghost? I have no idea what's going on here, 𝘀cie. We didn't quite see the ultra early game. 𝘂𝗏 getting chunked down heavily on this Lulu. Things are going badly in the bot lane already for Team Secret. And Team Flash, this is your second chance. You don't get a lot of these.
Yeah, you don't, but at least it's not a Lucian Yuumi lane, it is a 𝘁𝗏 lane. It's kind of expected that they have a lot of things going on for them in the early stage of the game, especially level 1. And they do not scale nearly as good as a Lucian Yuumi lane would. Like, Jhin is a lot less reliable considering its DPS. He's not mobile. Yuumi provides a lot more healing than the 𝘁𝗏 does with her shielding and movement speed buffs. That also is somewhat what Yuumi does. And what I like though from Team Flash, it's a Sylas pickup, considering you can match it with Destiny Gate from 𝘁𝗏 with your own Destiny Gate. However, other than that, there are not many great Sylas ults to hijack really there. Maybe the Wild Growth from Lulu could be absolutely insane if you have a lot of AP stacking going on for the Sylas, but other than that, the Sylas pick is not really ideal.
Yeah, I agree with Jensen. He was pointing out that the Sylas doesn't really fit compositionally, even though it is a good, it's the classic counter pick into the Twisted Fate. Yoshino, I think, just kind of has to get huge early, or he finds himself a little bit alone in compositionally for Team Flash, as 𝘁𝗏 goes extremely low here in the mid lane.
And he also tanked the minion wave. Like one Flash challenge maybe kills him, but speaking of kills,
oh, yeah,
there's someone going on top.
Yeah, that is going to be the Jace set behind early. A good move there by Dante and Marcus to get up there, take that lane bully down.
Taking that lane bully down, the kill does not go on to Marcus, which would maybe have been better, but Dante had to finish that kill off to secure that it goes down eventually, and Jace, not really in an ideal spot. Now he also went for the tier build, so he cannot really bully that lane that much, but he probably should be doing though anyway, and Flash Counter-Strike is coming up. We just see the replay, and Nagia cannot really do much here. His Flash was already down, so he couldn't create enough distance even with his Hammer Shock, and like this he just falls down to the gank. It was a gank around the 3-minute mark, which should be somewhat expected to go down, but Nagia wasn't expecting it enough, and like
and
this
we have
maybe
another
a
fight.
good cut of Flash.
Yeah, DNK's in trouble. 𝘁𝗏 moving forward. He wants to get onto Dante, but Yoshino's still in the way, man. You can't just ignore him forever. They do pick up the first kill. It's now a 2v1. It's about to be a 2v3 as the Shock Blast lands. Yoshino, he will get one back, but it'll just be the one.
It will just be the one. It is a 2-for-1 for Team Secret. I think that Invade in general was not really that much of a great idea, because Sylas is so strong in these close skirmishes, because with his Kingslayer just keeps healing up and deals surprisingly a lot of damage. And just now we saw how he still managed to kill DNK there despite the skirmish being very rough for them overall. Also the double bus went down for DNK. because he killed Dante and then Yoshino took the kill from him. Flash Goku coming out from 𝘁𝗏. He was a little bit late there. Yoshino was much earlier because he had a lot of less distance to cover. And like this, Dante falls down. Also, the shock blast from Nagia did help out, but all that bomb just for one shock blast, maybe not the ideal thing to do. Either way, like this, it is a 2-for-1 for Team Secret, and they are though trailing in gold. It's 500 gold deficit for them. The Jace is not ahead in CS against the Jax, much less so is the bot lane, which is kind of crumbling in the CS department, but at least it's not getting 2v2 kills, so maybe not the end of the world. But all in all, I gotta say, the lanes are looking much better for Team Flash this game.
Yeah, I certainly. It is off to a much better start. There's no other way to put it. They don't have that Lucian. I think 𝘁𝗔 was in a position in the game that no longer exists, where maybe he actually could make something happen with that Lucian. But you've got a Jax that's ahead. You've got a Xin Zhao now. I think things are going well, 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀𝘀. I think they've got a bit of a chance that they didn't have an hour ago. Just to see how they actually play it out.
And that's why I also look towards the 𝘀𝗀𝗃, who may be the late game win condition for Team Secret, because the Jace certainly won't be it. I mean, he doesn't fall that hard off as he used to be, because now Eclipse is an item, so does 𝘁𝗏 is an item, and the Muamana is also something that helps him towards the scaling. But still, it's not really looking good for them in that position. And
Okay, he's in trouble. They need one more hit, and they find it. The mid laner falls once again.
And TF is an easy target if he is down his flash, and just like that, 𝘁𝗏 gets farmed for the first time in this game. Another kill going on. This time it will be onto the 𝘁𝗏. 𝘁𝗏 going over with his first kill. Not ideal to have it on the support, of course, but with the support, I mean, when you watch the first item will be Moonstone, or in this case likely Shurelius or Imperial Mandate. You also get a very nice power spike if you can complete that item earlier. So it will not be the end of the world at all for Team Flash to find this kill onto 𝘁𝗏, and Team Flash really with a start they really didn't deserve, I would say. But it is a welcome one for sure for them.
For sure. Look, sometimes when you're down in the dumps, like Flash has been, it is divine providence that you need, and someone was watching, and someone put some ham in the server room. It was probably 𝘁𝗏𝗏 again. As 𝘁𝗀𝗃 has moved in, steals away another camp from Dante. This Gwen jungle has a bit of a CS lead going on.
And also an experience lead. I mean, the Gwen is level 6, Xin Zhao only level 5, despite Xin Zhao being probably the better early game jungler by far, especially in duels and small skirmishes. And Gwen going off to a good start is like the silver lining on the side of Team Secret, as I mentioned earlier. Gwen scales super well into the late game still. Despite the nerfs, she's very potent. Cannot really die very quickly still. Leeches off huge amounts of damage that she does to the enemy team with her Whiffmaker.
𝘁𝗏𝗃 caught by this roam again. 𝘁𝗏𝗏 is just moving up the river, completely uncontested. And 𝘁𝗏𝗃's fallen victim to it twice now.
And the Team Secret bot lane is not really working out so far. I mean, it is a Aphelios Lulu lane. It is, of course, very rough to play against Jhin Karma early game, but it shouldn't be 30 CS down and getting out-roamed. This is not something that we expect here. And Zhu Hao on his own is also going for some roaming, but he isn't really doing that much on the map. And I gotta address Gwen again, 𝘁𝗃𝗃. He is this time not a Conqueror Gwen, but a Lethal Tempo Gwen, and I'm really excited to see how this goes on, because Lethal Tempo on mids is surprisingly strong, gives them an extended range and a very huge amount of attack speed, which can do a lot of favor for the Gwen.
Yeah, for sure it can. The Gwen is certainly an interesting choice. I'm really curious to see how that works out, but I can understand the logic of it. That extra range and the massive attack speed steroid is huge, as Dante will pick up the Eye of the Herald. Team Flash, they're only 200 gold ahead at the moment, but they do have the big objective of the early game secured, and it's not like it was traded for the Drake either.
Yeah, it was not traded for anything on the side of Team Secret. Team Secret, I'm not sure if they are really tilted by the pause. I would assume they, to some extent, definitely are. But this is something you don't really get an excuse. You are in a professional environment here. You need to be able to overcome stuff like this, because it can happen to anyone. It is a higher might you're playing against to some extent, and this is something where you really need to regain your composure and need to stay focused, because it's not an easy task. And still, if Team Flash somehow manages to reverse sweep the series, you do only have yourself to blame there and not the pause.
So one thing that we didn't see on screen, but I've just had a look, is during that Rift Herald play, Eddie did manage to pick up 3 plates on the Aphelios. So this Aphelios is sort of reactivated, moving forward. Oh my god, just gets absolutely destroyed by the Karma, lands the 𝘁𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗏 ult. didn't even think about using that 𝗀𝗶𝗋𝗀, gets bound up by the Deadly Flourish, but 𝘁𝗀𝗏 with an excellent yellow card to stop Yoshino's entry to the fight should keep them safe for now as they do get back under the tower. A stun going in onto 𝘁𝗀. He goes low. Eddie, can he tag him? He can! And slowly the 𝘀𝗏𝗏 drifts in to rip down Jin.
And I think 𝘁𝗀 didn't need to stay there in this range department. I mean, he got flash gold card, but the damage follow-up from Eddie, I think that was not really necessary that he still is in range for that. I think 𝘁𝗀 definitely had the chance to escape it earlier because he got tagged later on by Eddie there. And like this, it is a free kill going over towards Team Secret. They are still somehow ahead in gold again. And it is, of course, due to the plating money that Eddie got earlier on these are failures. You called him reactivated. I'm not quite sure of that yet. The Ravens really thing, I'm not sure if they can dive this, but they probably can because it's
They can with the flash. Wind becomes lightning. Lulu doing everything she possibly can to save her ADC as 𝘁𝗏𝗏 joins the fight, but is that where you want to be? He gets one onto the support, but now to 2v2. Done. DNK has a lot to work with. He gets the big Gwen ult. That needlework is going well. Can he sew himself an outfit, or will he only sew himself his destruction? In the end, it's neither, as Dante and Yoshino evacuate.
Probably the smart decision for both parties to escape there. I mean, DNK is probably not favored in combat stats, but it is a fight between two turrets. You could easily get a turret shot there for your advantage to just turn it on the side of Team Secret. But here we see the dive again because Xin Zhao hit his flash wind, become lightning. As you said, he could go for the dive, get the first kill there. But also the Destiny play, or the TP play in this case rather, from 𝘁𝗏𝗏 manages to neutralize a bit of that with the gold card, so they can trade at least one kill back on the side there. But I like that Team Flash is proactive here. Meanwhile, off screen we saw that Marcus got solo killed by the Jace of Nagia, and this is something that definitely, of course, speaks in favor of Team Secret. But meanwhile, Team Flash got the mountain break on their own, so the first wave is also gone from the Rift.
Yeah, that they are. It's 𝘁𝗏𝗏. He's made his way up to the top side, but with no reinforcements here, they kind of know he's there. He's going to go for Nagia. 𝘁𝗏𝗏, you know what kind of player he is, 𝘀cie. You know he wants this, but with 𝘁𝗏𝗏 arriving, I think he might have just had a little bit too much hype.
And I'm not sure if Marcus is going for a teleport here because he's maybe a little bit late here. He gets a kill, but also gets gold card. He probably just goes for the TP to trade 1-for-1, which is okay because it's a shutdown towards Jace. But you also funnel money into this Gwen, and this is something that might ultimately be your demise because the Gwen is going very well now. And as I say that, there's also another off-screen kill coming on because the action doesn't just stop. Eddie gets his his second kill on the board actually because he got one earlier onto Yoshino, or it was 𝘁𝗀 rather. And like this, they are failed back into the game, and here we see what Nagia did to Marcus, I think, when he got the solo kill. I think he was just waiting for the gank, and then he just killed them. Nagia is an absolute shot.
He really is. Nagia, someone that we've been very impressed with, has had some very good games here for Team Secret, even if he hasn't been ultra consistent. This start on Jace is certainly a good one. And 𝘁𝗏𝗏 just doesn't want to go to bot lane. He just doesn't want to be a support.
He saw how 𝘁𝗀 played earlier and then was like, nah, you're not getting support from me. I support my whole team. I support Yoshino, who's doing well in the mid lane. Marcus, my new top laner, who's also doing fine overall. I mean, just now he didn't really make a good argument for himself. And here we see in the replay again how Dante got caught up by the bot lane. Aphelios Lulu starting to have some relevance in this game. Meanwhile, the hero charge couldn't be contested on the side of Team Secret. It goes down. Plating money also still going over towards Team Flash. And with this, the goal is to back to bang even, and just the mountain break is the lead that Team Flash currently has.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's discuss scaling a little bit. Obviously, there's an Aphelios on one side. The gut instinct is always to say, well, an Aphelios, once he gets to late game, he is an absolute unstoppable monster. But Jax with this lethal tempo, I do think does add a bit of a wrinkle into that. If this game does go to the mid to the late game, who do you think that actually favors?
That's actually a very good question because there's no clear yes/no answer or no clear this team, the other team answer. I think that Team Secret definitely has the upper hand in team fighting, but there's still the unstoppable side lane threat on the side of Team Flash that you have to worry about. I think it is probably, maybe if I have to pick one, I'll probably favor Team Secret, not just because of their individual abilities, but also because you probably can maybe just have someone dedicated to just wave clearing the Jax away, so the Jax is kind of neutrals and you just win the 4v4 on the other side of the map there. Maybe Nagia is the one to do this job because he has just so much wave clear with his shock blast and can just nullify Marcus on the Jax to that regard.
Oh Flash are in so much trouble. Yoshino doesn't have his E to get over the wall. He's going to go in to contribute a little bit of damage as the Jhin ult rains on in, but it doesn't matter. The collapse is here. He finally gets over the wall with the abscond. 𝘁𝗏𝗀 comes in with the locked and loaded. Oh, it's an absolute fiesta on both sides here, but it is all Team Secret favored. 𝘁𝗏𝗀 on the run. There's a big pair of scissors on the way. 𝘀𝗀𝗃 can't quite get the snip, and 𝘁𝗀 and 𝘁𝗏𝗀 will live to tell the tale.
What a beautiful irony that Yoshino's destiny gets interrupted by the Destiny Gate goal card play from 𝘁𝗏𝗃 there, so he cannot get away and cannot make an offensive play on his own. So 𝘁𝗏𝗃 really getting some revenge on Yoshino there for some of the solo kills that happened earlier in this series, and maybe some of the personal vengeance between them, if there is any. And here we see again Team Flash getting caught with the hand in the cookie jar, and like this, Dante fought there too. All the damage the Gwen can do in the corridor is so insane. She's very light on her AoE damaging abilities of her Q, of the snip and the needlework, and she can just hit them very easily in this tight place, and this is not an area where you want to fight the Gwen. Also, Destiny gold card by 𝘁𝗃𝗃, really well played to just kill off Yoshino there, as I mentioned earlier, and like this, Team Secret can just chase them down like flies, and with this, it's a 1k gold lead again for Team Secret, and they are slowly regaining control of this game.
They are, and honestly, perhaps that's the fair outcome after we did see how the prior game happened. It's not Team Secret's fault the servers went down, as Marcus will move forward with that Counter-Strike, has backup from 𝘁𝗏𝗃, but with 𝘁𝗏 arriving, they don't want to get too spicy. Shock Blast goes wide, and everyone backs off.
Everyone backs off, and we see another Drake coming up in a few seconds. I'm not quite sure which Drake it is, but it is a new one for sure, because I don't see the icon in the spectator client. I think it was a Hextech Drake, if I remember correctly from what I saw earlier. But now, maybe we see a little bit of a skirmish there, because it is the VCS. It is actually the Camtech Drake, as I just now see. And maybe actually, I think Team Secret might be interested in fighting this. But right now, it doesn't look to be the case, because vision control is still good on the side of Team Flash. They have the pink code and the pixel wash. They also have the 𝘁𝗏𝗃𝗃 done, which is, of course, vision you cannot deny once it's done. It just times out at some point. But speaking of that, they just go for the Drake, and Team Flash doesn't even dare to contest them.
Yeah, and I kind of don't blame Team Flash for that one. They weren't really in a position to contest it. We do move to the 𝘁𝗃 Rift, the gates unlock. Definitely in my opinion, the better of the two new rifts, not in terms of power, but in terms of being healthy for the game.
It's also more fun to watch, because instead of not seeing something, you see something, and you get to see more outplay potential, because they are like 𝘁𝗃 gates. They can like go for huge cannon flanks, or maybe even the Jax with a Counter-Strike flank can go to do something. Then Yoshino,
he dashes away, but 𝘁𝗀𝗃 is bearing down, and he had no chance to get away. And he does fall. This 𝘁𝗍less not having the best time in the world after a decent start out of Yoshino.
And even the 1 hour pause doesn't stop the ability of Team Flash to disrespect the Twisted Fate ultimate. So here we see it again by Yoshino. I mean, he wasn't pushing up that far, if I have to be a little bit more fair to that. But here he just dies again to it. And tier 1 turret, of course, is the other cause of that. Yoshino, here we see it again. I'm actually talking bullshit, because he wasn't really destined here. He was just gold card, and 𝘁𝗃𝗃 was ready for the gang, and Yoshino on the sidelines. I mean, the thing with 𝘁𝗃𝗃 is he is mobile, but he only has offensive ability, not defensive ability, so he can just easily fall towards that. And here we see Eddie.
𝘁𝗀𝗃 is already dead. Yoshino was going in pretty aggressive, but decides to think better of it. Herald summoned up here to try and break open the mid lane. Got a bit of an ARAM going on, 𝘀𝗀𝗃𝗃.
Yeah, a bit of an ARAM, and we see the weakness of the Jhin, of course. He is an immobile champion. Without the Flash, he cannot really do much there. And I think, now that I see this, I would definitely favor Team Secret in the late game, because, I mean, there's just nothing Jhin can do in the later stage of the game. Even if there is this unstoppable side and fight with the Jax, there's probably no way that in a 4v4, or in the 5v4 even, that Team Flash can hold on against Team Secret. There's so much dive also coming in against this Jhin, with 𝘁𝗃𝗃 and the Gwen, with the gold card from 𝘁𝗃𝗃, with all that Aphelios and Lulu have to offer against them. They can just run at them, basically, with the movement speed ability that Lulu provides to them, and like this will be very rough for Team Flash. The later the game goes.
Coming in clutch as he let Dante catch up to 𝘁𝗃𝗃. Marcus will dive in with him. On the other side, Yoshino is a bit of a raid boss here. Stole away the wild growth to make himself very, very big. They want to go onto Nagia. He'll pick up the kill onto 𝘁𝗏𝗃. Can we see another Hex Gate Hog? And it's being used against its creator. Jace, do you regret what you've done? Of course you don't, because he gets the outplay. He's got the fancy feet. 1 dodge, 2 dodge, 3 dodge 4. No!
And I wonder if 𝘁𝗀 just fired the shot blindly, because I don't see any control in the area where he was looking
Luck,
at.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think the fourth shot was just, yeah, maybe instinct by him. I don't know. He was, of course, waiting a little bit with his curtain call shots to see where he might sidestep or when he might sidestep. And here we see the skirmish again. Not an ideal corridor, of course. Either way, to fight if your Gwen is down her ultimate, she is really an easy target for the counter-strike of the Jax, for all the dashing and slashing that the Xin Zhao does with his knock-up on his side. And Aegir just makes the best out of it. It was probably a small disaster for Team Secret, but he gets the one kill to 𝘁𝗏𝗏 with the... I think it was he used the plant to escape and then shot blasted the Karma into the face.
He had a pretty educated knowledge where he was. He knew
Yeah, I mean...
there was the triangle of wards, but still, it was a good guess.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't know exactly where he was, but he knew, like, through process of elimination where he wasn't. So he had, like, a rough area where he must have been, and in this area he just shoot it in. Yeah, that's a correct shot. I mean, the Jin bullets aren't that thick, so it's not that easy to hit. As I say that, 𝘁𝗀 just dies to a Jin bullet.
That he does. Jin puts down Gwen. Unfortunate. Hope the doll can get resewn. As Team Flash now have control of the top side of this river. Nothing really up at the moment. They can go get this second Rift Herald. Not a huge objective, but an objective all the same. It's only 1.5k gold in it. Oh, never mind. It actually is the Baron. We're past 20 minutes. Silly me. Let's see what happened here. Oh, 𝘁𝗀, don't dash over that wall.
Of course he dashed over that wall. What does 𝘁𝗀 stand for?
Oh, hang on. They're just moving in. This was just a bad decision by Team Secret. You had a Twisted Fate ultimate. You knew everyone was there.
Yeah, they just walked at them and died. I don't know. No really clear plan for them. There was also no really objective to take there. I mean, the Baron was just barely up, and you won't be defending the Baron either way, or you just moved into their area and just died. It was very awkward play from 𝘁𝗀, let's be honest. I mean, they are a little bit ahead in gold, but not that much that you can disrespect your enemy like that and like this. Team Secret goes for the next wave, which will be the Hextech wave, of course, because we are on this very fancy new map, and maybe Dante has something against that. I'm not sure if he's able to do something, though.
Not quite at the moment, as everyone will back off, and in comes Marcus, but the gates! He's out of there! Doesn't get stunned up, 𝘁𝗀. Yeah, the gates are actually kind of pog, as Eddie will put up a turret, but Dante comes in at the speed of a car as he flies in. That's a lot of shots coming out of Jin, doing a hell of a lot of damage to this 𝘁𝗏𝗏𝗀. I don't think they can get back into the pit. That will... Whoa! The fires! They're burning! Parkett moving forward with a gold card! But he can't find it. 𝘁𝗀 throws out the needlework, trying to make an outfit. Oh, he gets the snipe onto Yoshino. Look at this Gwen. Go, 𝘁𝗀. She is here to cut them down. Team Flash are being destroyed as Nuclear gets another.
And it's 3 kills, one of them is a Juggernaut. They might just instantly go for the early Baron now, and maybe Team Flash just has to watch it crumble down against them. Here we see the fight again. A good flank actually by Team Flash to even get something going. They chunk Eddie very, very low. Also nice curtain call shot again from 𝘁𝗀 here. And they force 𝘁𝗀 out of the pit. This means that Dante can just easily secure the Drake. And Team Flash, afterward though, just find a good angle in this fight with another good Destiny from Parkett, or maybe not that great of a Destiny because he doesn't really find the gold card target immediately, but so much follow-up damage by the needlework of 𝘁𝗀, and like this, they get more kills.
A hole in the map?
This is where the turret stand. It's a spectator bug. You can see below the rift there, and just now off-screen they did finish the Baron, so now Team Secret, despite giving up the Drake and having a less than ideal fight at first, they are very much in control of this game now. 3k gold, they had only 1 breakdown, which is pretty negligible if we are completely honest, and the Baron is what really brings the comp to its fullest. They can maybe even flip push with the Jace against the Jax right now again, because it's just that much of an edge. The Jace has 3 items, while Marcus is struggling to finish his second item. He doesn't even have his mythic yet, with the Divine Sundoor coming up soon for him, and like this, really looking very rough for Team Flash yet again.
Certainly is. As 𝘁𝗀, this is a hard one to call. Marcus will go down again. We were talking about how this Jax could be a scaling condition for Team Flash, but with it being 1 and 4 so far behind the curve, that hope looks well and truly lost.
Definitely. I mean, he had 1 hour to scale, so what we maybe joke about, but nah, actually not. Marcus, I'm not even sure if he wins the 1v1 against the Gwen. He probably does because he's still level ahead, and because he is Jax. I mean, we mentioned it earlier in the solo queue cast. Jax enters evasion, the defensive stance, yada yada.
Oh, well, hang on a minute. as we do have another fight, we can talk about the holy words later, as Yoshino has stolen away a Lulu ult. Nagia is an absolute raid boss, though. Look at him go. He gets big from his own Lulu ultimate. And look at this, Team Secret. Look at Eddie. He's coming in. They're corralling them, pushing them away from their own base. You cannot approach us, but Jax thinks he can. He will get the stun onto this 𝘀𝗻𝗀, but a lovely Everfrost out of 𝘁𝗶𝗃 will zone him back. The 𝘀𝗀𝗀 is here. Praise the moon.
Praise the moon, and 𝘀𝗀𝗀 just wants them down. 200 years of balance experience coming out here from him and his sister Aluna, of course. 𝘁𝗃 just uses his stopwatch for whatever reason, just to style on them probably, and they get another 3-for-1 fight here. They did manage to get the kill into Nagia first, because he has a Jace, of course, very vulnerable to any CC that comes into him, and it was indeed him dissuading the fight a little bit here. The curtain call is also in a very good angle, now fired off by 𝘁𝗀, but in the end, 𝘀𝗀 finds decent angles, but it's just too behind to really take these fights. You're still down a few KO'd, and also the Baron, and they also commit very hugely onto Nagia, who takes surprisingly long to go down, and this is just such an ideal corridor for Eddie to fight with his flamethrower. And Marcus on the Jack.
I also want to point out how much work 𝘁𝗀 does in this fight. On this Lulu, this enchanter got so much value with so many shields were going out there. Like, 𝘁𝗀, this is his first game on Team Secret, and he's playing really well. Well, first
Definitely,
match,
and also just how strong 𝘀𝗀𝗀's Lulu is, right? If you remember how far down they were in the laning phase. I mean, they were like 20, 30 CS down. It looked very doomed for them. Now that they got really like a finger pointed at them, they just took out the whole arm of Team 𝘀𝗀. It's now 7-1 on the 𝘀𝗀𝗀. He is still down 40 CS actually, but he has like twice the value of the Jhin in this team fight. It's actually insane.
Oh, it's so strange. I'm hearing a German accent say Jhin is bad. It's almost like you're always right here. As they will move forward, take down that inner tower. 𝘁𝗃 pops the Predator. Very threatening. Team Flash back off well, though. Team Secret just continue to build this gold lead.
Maybe Juve never left. You never know. Either way, team going on longer. Next wave will spawn in 30 seconds. It will likely be Team Secrets to take. I think Team 𝘀𝗀 has like a small chance if they get like 2 drakes in a row that they have like the Hextech Soul win condition going on for them. But the Hextech Soul, I wonder if it's really that strong, because the Chem Soul is definitely the strongest one at the moment with the extra science passes on every member you could have. But the Hextech Soul is like a static shift effect that you had earlier a few seasons ago when the item still existed. It would be nice to have for you, but it will probably not even be game deciding if Team 𝘀𝗀 gets this Drake. And they are, for some reason, contesting this Drake or even starting it up, and I think this is a really a bad decision, because you really should avoid fights right now and hope to get Marcus going on with the scaling game, because otherwise you are pretty much hopeless.
Yeah, but it will be DNK that secures that dragon. Once again, you can't hope to step to the Prince of Thebes, but thankfully for 𝘀𝗀, they do get away. It's not a disaster, just a bit of a wasted time.
Waste of time and waste of curtain call. And I think the curtain call is one of the key abilities that Team 𝘀𝗀 needs to defend their base. I mean, you can at least have a little bit of a threat there, because you can easily have a very safe zone for the Jhin there to at least fire the shots and maybe get even the wave clear going on with the curtain call, or force somebody to tank these shots, because there is no full tank on lineup of Team Secret. Maybe the Gwen with the Herald Mist would somewhat count against the curtain call, I guess. But other than that, you at least with the curtain call have some ability to defend your base, and this will be very hard now, because the next Baron will spawn in 1 minute, and this is something that Team 𝘀𝗀 also needs to contest lightly, and they maybe even have the curtain call down for this, because the cooldown is surprisingly long. Jhin doesn't get to build much cooldown reduction or ability haste, as it is now called, and this will be one of the things that will hurt him. Also, speaking a little bit more about items, is a Crown of the Shattered Queen on the side of Sylas, of course. He also went for the Cosmic Drive to increase his ability haste.
Very standard.
And yeah, very standard, of course. Yoshino maybe also one to carry fights if he somehow manages to get onto Eddie while Lulu is not around, which of course should never happen, but is maybe an angle. If he also is not having the crescendo going on, maybe he can still 1v1 Eddie by just one clapping him in one rotation. But I think this is very, very unlikely, and Team 𝘀𝗀 in a very rough position, but maybe they can get a catch here. I don't know why 𝘁𝗀 is alone.
𝘁𝗀 just got, it doesn't matter, he's got the fancy feet, he's out of there. They had to use a lot of resources, but it doesn't matter because they're going to trade back. And look at this, the pincer is once again set up. Xin Zhao will be stunned up. 𝘁𝗃 doing well there. Didn't get a huge amount of damage out of Eddie, but there he is. The ultimate comes down. He gale forces forward. And this 𝘀𝗀𝗀 is truly online. 200 years has been activated on the other side. 𝘁𝗃 will clean up Xin Zhao. Eddie, he's got the chakrams. He's got the flamethrower. They're going to walk forward. and try and find the base.
They try and fight the base. It's 3-4-0. Team Flash really split up in this desperation play to maybe find an engage there. Also, failures are nice to tank the turret here. It's a 3-4-0 in the late game. They won't even go for the Baron. They go straight for the base. And it might just be, you can almost say it is a 3-0 in the best of 3, which is something that is very rare to see. But Team Secret shook off the tilt of the first 10 minutes of the game. And after this 1 hour break, they get their well-earned victory against Team Flash.
The most earned victory ever. Win 2 games, you get awarded 1. As Team Secret, it's really good. Sometimes when that happens, players will come back from a pause. They're just tilted out of their minds, and you get games that just feel weird. Like, had Flash won that game, it wouldn't feel legitimate, you know? So I'm actually really glad that Team Secret did rally, get the result that would have happened even if there had been no tech issues. Once again, I will apologize for the tech issues, guys. I hope we made the break as entertaining as we could, but it's not on our end. It was on the tournament realm. It's not even on VETV's end. But 𝘀cie, do you have any final thoughts before we bring our analysts in?
No. Actually, you basically got there perfectly there. I mean, it was really on Team Secret to shake off some tilt. I mean, if they would have lost it, it would have felt very bad for them. And to some extent, it would maybe be deserved because shaking off tilt is natural. But let's be honest, they had the second game in the book and they just now, a little bit later than usual, got their well-earned victory.
Well, we will go back to the VCS English analyst desk. Thank you very much, 𝘀cie. We'll be seeing you for the second series, of course. Rebel Jensen. We don't want to keep this going for too long because we are already running very over for the first series. Let's get some of your thoughts. We'll start with you, Jensen.
I mean, like I said, right, I think this time around, it's not that if I were to just cover the nameplates and ignore the way that they played in the first game, I actually thought that the draft wasn't all that bad for Team Flash. But from what they've shown so far, in terms of their ability to execute this, I think this is a very high level of execution to team composition, and it showed, right? They did some of the steps correctly. They got the roam from palette enabled. Some of the kills definitely could have gone over the some of the other people instead, but the ideas were there, right? And you're seeing a lot of ideas coming through from Team Flash, and I think that that's signs of life. But when you play these style team compositions, you have to be very clear what's happening, how you guys are engaging with the kill squad and stuff. And I want to highlight the fight that was happening in the bottom side jungle, where they went in there and there's these huge outplays by 𝘀cie coming through from Team Secret to secure that. I mean, what was effectively a 4v5 in that scenario, right? When you want to get these numbers advantage, you have to be making sure that 1, you're controlling the jungle, 2, your support jungle and the kill squad's connected properly, and 3, you're able to advance the play on that soft map. They went in there, didn't advance the play, and then once you fill one of these outplays, it's very hard for the 2-lane type of composition, these double bruiser / assassin compositions, to get back into the game. And then I think from that point, Team Secret was just pedal to the metal and close it up from that point.
For sure, Rebel. What are your thoughts on these two teams after we've seen basically 3 games out of them?
I think this seemed like Team Secret actually showing quite a bit of dominance against the bottom team, which was almost not expected given just how rough their entire split has been up until this point. The addition of 𝘀cie was great for the team. It's looking like their bottom lane is becoming a position of strength, and he's clearly having a better map effect. It was even nice for 𝘀cie, because 𝘀cie got quite involved today, because we've had our complaints about 𝘀cie and Jerry's, the combination mid lane, and whether or not what their plan is for the future. But today, 𝘀cie actually, I think, really stepped up to assist the team in a number of different ways, actually having an effect on the map. It seems like their map control in general was just better with 𝘀cie and 𝘀cie helping out with DNK today, and it really just kind of looked like a completely different Secret coming out.
Certainly did. Do we have any final thoughts before we will throw it out and get ready for our second series of Cerberus taking on SBTC?
I'm encouraged to see Team Secret. I think drafting has been consistent. Definitely the changes as well. That's something I'll definitely agree with Rebel here on the desk. I think it's a lot of a step up from 𝘀cie today. I think there's a little bit of step ups in laning, but nonetheless, I can see that this is a team that they might even see a end of split type of resurgence of sorts as we approach those later stages of the season. Maybe it's an issue of them not coming together in terms of team identity, or perhaps when they play against a stronger team, more of their issues to be exposed. But so far, from what I saw from Team Secret today, I think more or less quite happy with what I saw. Some small issues in the mid game, especially with DNK just hopping over the wall and giving away some free kills. But it's workable. It's workable. Definitely signs of hope for them here.
It's certainly not ideal. But with that, we will go to a break. We will end our first series coverage. Again, I want to apologize for the delay. I know it's very frustrating. We feel it as well. Thankfully, things were able to get resolved and everything worked out in the end. I hope everyone did enjoy the show. Thank you to my analyst desk. Thank you to 𝘀cie on the cast. And thank you to everyone watching for supporting VCS English. We will be back probably quite soon for our second series of Cerberus taking on SBTC. Don't go anywhere.
Until the first light of the day.
salvation. Those flags you wave will represent them. The world is watching. Here's your judgment. Here's your reckoning. Write your story down. Here's your history. Pride and country. You could have everything. So bring home the glory alive. Here's your judgment. Here's your reckoning. So go and bring home the glory alive. Here's your judgment. Here's your reckoning. Write your story down. Here's your history. Pride and country. You could have everything. So bring home the glory alive. Awake to my voice and hear the call within. Embrace the fear inside. Surrender your mind to mine again. Close your eyes, have faith in me, and leave the light behind. You're never alone. Whenever it's gone, let the shadows stay home. You're never alone. Let the poison in. Feel the warmth arise. Close your eyes, have faith in me, and leave the light behind. You're never alone.